Chapter 21:14. Generally speaking, the spirit of calamity is an existence that cannot be killed or destroyed. However, this does not mean that it is invincible. The great elder of the ghost clan said gloomily, "Otherwise, wouldn't this world become the world of the spirit of calamity?" He turned his head to look at the great elder of the Iron Sword clan and said, "I heard that General Meng used the destruction of wind and thunder to severely injure the spirit of calamity." The great elder of the Iron Sword clan was startled. To deal with the divine soul of the calamity, our ghost's domain alone is definitely not enough. The great elder of the ghost's domain sighed. Our ghost's domain's cultivation method focuses on the cold death chi. For the divine soul of the calamity, this thing is a great supplement. In other words, the divine soul of the calamity is the existence that restrains our sect the most. Therefore, if you want to deal with this spirit of calamity, I'm afraid you too will need to put in a lot of effort. He looked at the great elder of the Iron Sword clan and said indifferently, "I heard that the Iron Sword clan has kept a treasure called the bright brilliant jade for generations. It is an item that can restrain the cold death energy of the world. This time, this old man does not believe that we will leave it in the treasury to collect dust at such a time of life and death. At this juncture, it is time for us to work together. If your clan has the ability to deal with it, I hope you will spare no effort to overcome this difficulty together." He narrowed his eyes and smiled, but the great elder of the Iron Sword clan's face had already turned bitter. He sighed deeply. In these 2 nights and 1 day, the 3 big sects in the lone bamboo city seemed to have entered hell. The shadow of death shrouded them at all times. Tan Tan and Yao Ningning, who were also in the lone bamboo city, were playing in full swing at this moment. They were having so much fun that they did not miss anything. Yao Ningning resolutely refused to follow Elder Hu and Elder Ma. She was having so much fun with Tan Tan in the lone bamboo city. Uncle Hu and Uncle Ma had seen that Tan Tan's manner of speech and behavior were quite unconventional. However, it wasn't particularly mischievous. At the very least, Tan Tan wouldn't set foot in those filthy places. With this as the main premise, the 2 elders finally felt a little more at ease. They only used their divine sense to envelop the area. After confirming the direction, they no longer followed closely behind, not leaving a single step behind. In any case, Lone Bamboo City was only about the size of a woman's butt. Even if there was danger with their cultivation, they should be able to hold out for a while. If they had that much time, the 2 elders would have rushed over. The Demon Empress had already given an order to give the Grand Elder a certain amount of training space. It was rare to meet someone like Tan Tan who was favored by the Grand Empress. Once he missed this opportunity, he was really afraid that there wouldn't be another chance like this again. At a certain casino. Did you see that? In such a situation you should bet big. Tan Tan patiently guided him while casually grabbing a handful of purple cloud coins and slamming it on the gambling table. That makes sense. Yao Ningning rubbed his hands and nodded repeatedly, expressing his agreement and admiration. How is it? Are you excited? Tan Tan asked. Okay. Yao Ningning's face flushed red. She didn't understand. Brother Tan, you're right. Money is just a number to me. Even if the entire casino was given to me for free, I wouldn't necessarily care about it. Why would I be excited about such a small win or loss? I'm really excited, the kind that isn't fake at all. The Grand Elder pondered over it and was still puzzled. He didn't know that gambling was human nature. Even if one didn't want to gamble and didn't lack money, once there was an opportunity to reap without sowing, even if the final reward was very little, they would still feel excited. This had nothing to do with the value of wealth. It was just human nature. If one indulged, they would be gamblers and could be addicted for a long time. If one restrained themselves, they would be heroes and forge an immortal legend. Of course, Yao Ningning was still a different kind of super aristocrat. Or it could be said that his vision was too low and his expectations were too high. To put it bluntly, if Yao Ningning said that he wanted money, all the money in the Demon Emperor heaven could be said to be his. After all, he was the only one under the Demon Empress. It wasn't like other worlds where His Majesty the Celestial Emperor had so many children. If he didn't pass the throne to him, who would he pass it to? So this brother was just following Tan Tan. Looking for the feeling of Jianghu, that's all. Regarding Tan Tan's actions, Uncle Hu and Uncle Ma were speechless. What you said about repaying gratitude and enmity with a sword under the heavens, traveling alone with a sword across thousands of people. Is it going to the casino to gamble? And it's going to be so small? I really want to spit on your face. After placing his bet, the dice on the table clattered. When it was opened, it was indeed big. Wahaha! Yao Ningning jumped 3 feet high and almost hit the roof beam. He was really excited to the extreme. he exclaimed happily, "I won. I won." Ah. The group of people at the side all looked over with eyes full of disdain. This bastard, he had already lost hundreds of thousands of purple cloud coins, and now he had only won a few dozen purple cloud coins back, and he was already so happy and even excited. He was already dancing with joy. This kind of prodigal, luckily it wasn't my son. If I had given birth to him, I might as well have thrown him on the wall. I wouldn't be so dizzy now. If it was my son, he would have gone crazy from anger today. After that, it seemed that the gambling luck wasn't there. Tan Tan and Yao Ningning lost big and special. The two of them were looking forward to it, sighing and dejected at the same time. "Do you see? This is Jianghu. This is experience?" Tan Tan said, "Do you see? We basically haven't won yet, right? This is Jianghu experience." Yao Ningning nodded blankly. He suddenly felt dizzy. What does losing money have to do with Jianghu and experience? Looks like you really haven't run Jianghu. You're a flower in a greenhouse. Don't you think about it? Gambling isn't big or small. The probability of winning or losing is only half. Even if you lose, there's a limit. But we actually lost all the way. Can our luck be so bad? What do you think? Tan Tan's eyebrows were crooked. He was very exasperated. Yao Ningning didn't care about how much money he lost, but Tan Tan was really distressed. Because all the money he was using now was his money. Motherfucker, the money that he had worked so hard for and even robbed by force went into other people's pockets just like that. How could this be? Yao Ningning still hadn't reacted. Although he also felt that Tan Tan's words were very reasonable. How could the two brothers' luck be bad? Then there must be a problem. What was the problem? He subconsciously asked, "Brother Tan, what do you think the problem is?" Tan Tan rolled his eyes and said, "The problem is very simple. This casino is cheating. They treat the two of us, especially you, as sheep. And I didn't point this out before because I wanted to use facts to remind you. Gambling money is no problem, but playing with cheaters and losing no matter how you play, that's boring." "Well, it's like this. I understand. Then what should we do next?" "Leave." Yao Ningning nodded repeatedly. "You're really a sheep. If we really leave, won't they succeed in cheating us? To deal with the current situation, the first thing to do is to break this bad luck. We have to do this," Tan Tan said mysteriously. Yao Ningning blinked and said in confusion, "What do we do?" However, Tan Tan kicked a mahjong table with a thunderous force. The mahjong table flew high up in the air and fell apart with a crashing sound. Tan Tan roared loudly and jumped to another table. Then he swept his foot, and all the gambling tools and chips fell to the ground with a crashing sound. Then he cursed loudly, "Motherfucker! This casino is cheating." Suddenly, thunder sounded all over the world. Everyone was stunned. Tan Tan raised his arms and shouted, "This casino is cheating. They treat my old brothers as sheep. They've already caused me to lose millions. I won't forgive you." Yao Ningning immediately understood. He kicked another table over with a clang and shouted excitedly, "Yes. The casino is cheating. Otherwise, how could we keep losing?" Many people showed sympathy, but not for the casino but for the two idiots. It seemed that these two idiots had lost their heads and were anxious. They didn't think that this casino had a great background. Besides, gambling is gambling. What's so strange about losing? It would be strange if they kept winning. This guy was simply an idiot. And a super too. "Take these two brats down for me," a cold voice said. The casino's hired thugs swarmed forward. Their eyes were filled with cruelty. No one had come to cause trouble for a long time. Today they could finally loosen their muscles and bones and have a good time. "Cheating, and you dare to hit people!" Tan Tan shouted and jumped off the table. Without another word, he immediately attacked. Yao Ningning was filled with righteous indignation. He felt that this casino's way of handling things was too wrong. You're the owner of a casino. Isn't it just for us to win money? Now that you've cheated and caused us to lose money, you still want to hit people? This is simply too unreasonable. Is there still law? He rushed in front of Tan Tan and said angrily, "It's fine if you cheat, but you still want to hit people. How can there be such logic in this world? I will enforce justice on behalf of the heavens today." With two slaps, the two men from before were the first to fly out. Then, like a tiger in a flock of sheep, he pointed to the east and hit the west, south and north. He was really a hero with a murderous aura. What kind of expert guards could a casino in a remote area and a small lone bamboo city have? Could it withstand the ravaging of a saint-level expert? And this master actually felt extremely wronged as he hit people. Spittle flew everywhere as he shouted, "We found out that you cheated and you still dare to hit people. Can you still be reasonable? Is there still law? Do you really think that Demon Emperor Heaven is your territory? Everyone who heard these words felt a chill run down their spines. What the hell? Your sister, you two are the only ones here who are unreasonable and don't follow the law. You actually dare to complain first. We didn't even discover that the casino was cheating. How can you cheat just because you say so? Who do you think you are? Do you think your father is Shui Leihan and your mother is the Demon Empress? Chapter 21:15. In an instant, the casino's thugs were lying on the ground. Some had broken arms, some had broken legs. The whole place was filled with grief. Although a certain great master's attack was not heavy, he was still a peak saint-level expert. How could these small fries be able to withstand his attack? It was already very fortunate that they did not lose their lives. Hey, quickly call your boss out. Tan Tan sat down and slammed the table. There must be an explanation for today's matter. The consequences of treating us brothers like sheep are very serious. Yao Ningning sat down angrily and slammed the table as well. Yes, quickly call your boss out. The consequences are very serious. Everyone was no longer looking down on him. Instead, they were admiring him. Look at how he's being ripped off. How righteous. If I could fight as well. Who would still want to bet with me? The casino's boss was also discerning. He had already seen through these two idiots. Not only were they super sheep, but they were also super experts. Such guys were not to be trifled with. Besides, these were troubled times. They might really lose their lives. He hurriedly walked out, scared out of his wits. His expression was extremely ugly. May I ask where the two of you heroes are from? Tan Tan slammed the table and shouted. You don't care who we are. But it's wrong for you to cheat and win our money. He did not use much strength, but a table suddenly sank into the ground. A big black hole appeared on the ground. It seemed bottomless. Yao Ningning followed suit and slammed the table. Yes, it's wrong to win our money. Spit it out how we ate it. No, it's obvious that you cheated. You have to spit out what we won. A table also sank to the ground without being touched. Tan Tan's eyebrows twitched. He thought that this guy really had the talent to be a robber. He was obviously twisting words and forcing logic, but he said it as a matter of course. We can't fall behind. Then he slammed the other table and shouted, I also feel hurt. You were beating people just now. I was scared out of my wits. Yao Ningning also slammed the table. Yes, I was also hurt. You scared me just now. I was so scared that I had cramps. Everyone fainted. You beat people to death, but you were still scared out of your wits. You are really timid. So, you have to compensate us brothers for our losses. Our losses are too big. Tan Tan continued to clamor. That's right, compensate for the losses. Yao Ningning echoed loudly. You still have to heal our wounded hearts. My heart is still pounding. Tan Tan shouted like a thunderclap. Yes. Yao Ningning slammed the table and glared. Our wounded spirit. Tan Tan was seething with anger. Yes, spirit. Yao Ningning was infuriated. And you've wasted our time. Compensation. Tan Tan continued to roar. Yes, time. Our time is too precious. The Grand Elder continued to agree. There are many others. He also had to compensate. Anyway, it's a lot. Tan Tan roared. He felt that he had run out of words. In any case, we have to pay for everything. We just have to pay for it. Yao Ningning said arrogantly. Fuck, this feeling is just too good. No wonder there were so many people in this world who liked to be unreasonable. It turned out to be such a great feeling. Yao Ningning sighed inwardly. It's a pity that an honest descendant of the royal family, the dignified Demon Emperor Tian Tai, was led astray by Tan Tan. The gambling den's boss was about to cry. Damn, the opening was not successful. We just opened early in the morning and these two plague gods came in. They were obviously here to extort. We opened a gambling den and we actually won your money? Then whose money should I win? We didn't cheat. Our gambling den's reputation is quite good. We really didn't cheat. Could it be that we can only lose money to our customers when we open a gambling den? What kind of logic is that? Then why do we still open a gambling den? But the current situation was that his fists were inferior, and the situation was stronger. He could only put on a smiling face and say good words. Why are you so unhappy? If you don't compensate, I'll kill you. Tan Tan threatened fiercely. It was really just a threat. If you don't compensate, I'll kill your entire clan. Yao Ningning shouted. It really wasn't a threat. It really came. After a while, the two bullies swaggered out of the gambling den. They happily walked while counting their money. How do you feel? Tan Tan was in high spirits. We're rich, we've earned money. Yao Ningning happily counted the money. We've lost less than 10,000 purple cloud coins before, but now we've earned so much purple cloud coins. This is really a good deal with small capital and huge profits. I said small. Tan Tan patted Yao Ningning's shoulder and said earnestly, this is the martial world. Strength is everything. The bigger the fist, the bigger the reason. You've worked so hard to cultivate your good skills. Wouldn't it be a pity if you don't use them? Don't let your strength down. Elder Hu and Elder Ma, who had been monitoring with their divine senses, had the urge to vomit blood. Don't tell me that only by extorting and robbing will I not let down my good skills? Yao Ningning nodded repeatedly. He was convinced and deeply agreed. Yes. Brother Tan, let's go find another gambling den. This time I'll take the lead. You watch. I think I've understood it all. Yes, you can be taught. Let's go. The two bullies held their heads high and continued to roam the martial world. After a long time, the two of them returned with a full load. Their sleeves were filled with purple clouds. This still doesn't seem to be satisfying enough. Tan Tan said. Then let's do something more satisfying. I'll listen to you, Brother Tan. Yao Ningning was now in a state of great joy of reaping without sowing. He counted the money happily and said, damn it. After living for so long, this is the first time I've earned money with my own hands. It doesn't matter how much money is, but the feeling of earning money is really good. Comfortable. As soon as he said this, even Uncle Hu and Uncle Ma, who had been watching with their divine senses, fainted on the ground. Earning money. Is this money that you've earned? Even Tan Tan was a little speechless at this time. This idiot had a realm. After finishing his apprenticeship, he could already roam the martial world. If you want to roam the martial world, just having money is not enough. It's still far from enough. Tan Tan guided patiently. For cultivation, the most important thing is heavenly treasures and divine weapons. Heavenly treasures can help you improve your cultivation, and divine weapons can help you defeat your enemies. Where can I find these things? Yao Ningning's eyes lit up. This is not a problem of where. The city lord's mansion has them. But this is Demon Emperor heaven. Rabbits don't eat the grass near their burrows. We can't lay our hands on the locals, understand? Tan Tan guided earnestly. Understood, I understand all of it. But we can't lay our hands on our own people. Yao Ningning's eyes lit up even more. He thought to himself, outsiders don't matter, right? Actually, what did he understand? He only understood that Tan Tan said that they couldn't lay their hands on the people of Demon Emperor heaven. Laying their hands on their own people and robbing them seemed to be really unreasonable. A certain lady still had a bit of conscience. Tan Tan smiled slyly. So we have to target the outsiders. Why did I hear that there are many people from Demon Emperor heaven in this city? They are. Yao Ningning was excited. You mean? Tan Tan laughed. That depends on whether you have the guts or not. If you're a coward. Yao Ningning flew into a rage. I'm not a coward. You're not. Tan Tan looked doubtful. No. You're really not. I'm really not. This can be because this matter is more or less risky. Absolutely not. What's the big deal about risks? Why would I be afraid of taking risks in the martial world? I'm full of guts. That's good. Let's go and rob them? Do you really dare? Why wouldn't I dare? Would Demon Emperor Heaven and his gang dare to offend me? Let's go rob them. Yao Ningning said heroically. Let's go? Let's go. In a distant place, Uncle Hu and Uncle Ma sighed. They were angry that he didn't fight and sad that he wasn't wise. They wanted to step forward and stop him, but the Demon Empress had already given the order to let him suffer a little to gain experience. But, if they let him continue to gain experience like this, it would really be a little risky, the two of them sighed. When they just came out, they thought that they had picked up an easy job. Now, it seemed that this old life was going to be tormented to death. Even if they weren't scared to death, they would be angered to death or they would be disgusted to death. However, in the end, this matter was more or less unreasonable. To these two old men, robbing something from Demon Emperor Heaven and the other two big sects wasn't a big deal. It really wasn't a big deal. This was the Demon Emperor Heaven. Demon Emperor Heaven's people. What were they? The great master robbing them was giving them face. Although Tan Tan was a little unreasonable, his words were still very reasonable. The bigger the fist, the bigger the reason. Their fist was big enough, so the reason was naturally on their side. At this moment, the people from the three big sects had already gone crazy. They were running around the streets in panic. Everyone seemed to be suspicious. Tan Tan and Yao Ningning easily saw the two of them. The two of them, especially Yao Ningning, couldn't wait to rush out. Stop right there. Yao Ningning shouted. That person was from the demon ghost. He turned back with a face full of anger. "Little bastard, are you calling me?" The word little bastard instantly made Yao Ningning forget that his job was robbery. He went forward and slapped him, unable to restrain his anger. You bastard, you old bastard. You actually dare to scold me. I'll beat you to death." A series of slaps rang out. It was a pity that this person only had the cultivation of the early stage saint level. How could he compare to Yao Ningning, who was already half a step into the celestial being level? He was suppressed to the point that he couldn't move. He could only hold his face and be slapped back and forth. In just a short while he was beaten until blood flowed out, turning into a human head and pig brain. "Robbery," Tan Tan hurriedly reminded. "We're robbing, not beating people. Don't put the cart before the horse." Chapter 21:16. That man wanted to cry but had no tears. Yao Ningning took the ring off his hand. He looked at it and said with disdain, "What kind of trash is this? You have the nerve to wear it." He casually broke the scabbard and the sword into 3 pieces. Then he took the storage ring off his hand. He didn't even look at it. He put it in his pocket. Then he kicked it and scolded, "Pauper. Get lost. Next time, remember to bring more valuable things when you go out. You don't have any eyesight." That man was kicked like a ball. He flew to an unknown place with a whoosh sound. "Quickly open that ring and see what good things are inside," Tan Tan urged. Yao Ningning opened it and looked. His eyes lit up. "There's a lot of money. We've made money again." "What else?" "There are also some medicines. But they are all ordinary goods. They can barely be used. There are also some low-grade spirit beast cores. They are too low-grade. They are too trashy." Yao Ningning naturally didn't care about these things with his status. "There's no big harvest. Forget it. I only want those spirit beast cores. The rest are all yours," Tan Tan said generously. What he lacked the most now was spirit beast cores. The other things were really meaningless. "Then wouldn't I be taking too much advantage?" Yao Ningning was a little hesitant. "Oh, why are you talking like this? We are brothers. Why are you still fussing about this? You're taking advantage. I'm suffering losses. Is there any meaning in our friendship?" Tan Tan took the ring and took out 70 or 80 spirit beast cores. Then he threw them back. "Why are you treating me like an outsider?" Yao Ningning was extremely moved. "Big brother, you're so nice. I will follow you." "Nonsense. If I don't treat you well, who would I treat well?" Tan Tan had already swallowed 3 cores into his stomach while he was speaking. He had been hurrying on the road during this time. So, he had already digested the cores he had brought along. Now he had a source of replenishment. These spirit beast cores would have to be refined by an ordinary person. Then, they would have to be combined with the corresponding medicines to have a certain effect. However, Tan Tan had directly and thoroughly absorbed all of it. This was the most useful and effective thing for Tan Tan. After that, the two of them used the same method to rob more than 10 people in succession. The bountiful harvest made Yao Ningning beam with delight. She would never have dreamed that robbing would be such a blissful thing. Yao Ningning was extremely satisfied as she looked at the increasing number of spatial rings she had obtained. The money had actually piled up into a small mountain. The value of these things might not be much, at least not in the eyes of a certain Taigu. However, this sense of accomplishment was irresistible. However, he definitely couldn't just let himself be satisfied and be done with it. Trouble would soon follow. They only robbed people from the 3 great sects and didn't rob anyone else. Moreover, they didn't even bother to hide their actions. It would be strange if such actions didn't attract attention. When the people from the 3 sects heard this news, they didn't believe it at first. Who was so awesome and bold? How dare they rob Lone Bamboo City so brazenly? This was impossible. Was there a mistake somewhere? However, as more and more people who were robbed came back crying and complaining, each and every one of them was about to go crazy. Motherfucker, ever since they came here, everything had gone wrong. First they were robbed. Then they were killed by the spirit of the calamity. Now they actually encountered robbers. This was simply bad luck, one after another. Motherfucker, are the 3 great sects of Ink Cloud Sky Soft Persimmons? Does anyone have to pinch us when they see us? This matter couldn't be tolerated no matter what. Besides, it seems that this reason is on our side, right? Dozens of experts rushed over from all directions as soon as the order was given. They surrounded Tan Tan and Yao Ningning, the 2 idiots. In fact, not even a drop of water could trickle through. "You 2 bastards, you actually dare to rob in broad daylight. You're really audacious. Moreover, you're robbing people from the 3 great sects of Ink Cloud Sky. You're really reckless." A middle-aged man shouted. "Why don't you surrender? What are you waiting for? What do we do now? Yao Ningning was a little nervous. They're here. Although a certain old man participated in the robbery in the end, it was all for fun. At the very least he still had some sense of right and wrong and reverence for the law. Tan Tan said casually, "What's there to be afraid of? Let's just kill them. Don't tell me that we're two handsome men and strong men, need to be afraid of them. How can we not fight and not see blood when we roam the martial world?" Yao Ningning said, "That's right." Suddenly she felt complacent in her heart. "I'm also a handsome and strong man." Then she looked at Tan Tan and thought, just me. Suddenly, a heroic spirit rose in her heart. She strode out and shouted, "Who are you people? In a peaceful world, in a clear and bright world, in a public place, you actually dare to gather people to block the road and hold swords and sabers. Do you want to commit murder? Do you know the word law?" The person who spoke didn't know whether to laugh or cry. A robber actually asked the people who came to catch the robber whether they knew the law. "You really have no shame? The two of you are robbing in a peaceful world, in a clear and bright world, in broad daylight. Are you not afraid of being punished by the law?" That person didn't want to be caught and asked first. Ha ha ha. Yao Ningning looked up to the sky and laughed, releasing the aura of the Demon Emperor Heaven. She shouted, "In this Demon Emperor Heaven, I am the law." These words were really overbearing and arrogant to the extreme. How could the other party know that to others, these words were nonsense? But to Yao Ningning these words were the truth. His mother was the Demon Empress. In the Demon Emperor Heaven he was the law. These words were really true. But they didn't know. Instantly they were filled with anger. A robber actually dared to say such words. Clearly he didn't take them seriously. "Go. Take them down. I want to see what the law looks like." 40 to 50 people shouted at the same time and rushed forward. The cold murderous intent in Tan Tan's eyes suddenly exploded. He shouted, "Yes, you dare to hurt my brother." He took the lead and rushed forward, blocking Yao Ningning behind him. He shouted, "Life and death, brothers, together in life and death." A sword suddenly shot out, sword light flashing. Only a series of cracking sounds could be heard. The 5 swords opposite Tan Tan were cut in half by his sword at the same time. Then bloodlight burst out. This sword of Tan Tan's was a top-grade divine weapon that Chu Yang spent all his effort to forge. Although it couldn't be compared to the Calamity Sword, it wasn't something that ordinary weapons could compare to. In this battle, no matter what the cultivation was, in a battle of weapons, there was no doubt that it would be easy to destroy. The opponent's sword was cut in half at the first moment. Everyone was stunned, and Tan Tan used this opportunity to kill. The sword light shone like autumn water. Under his sword, 3 people died and 2 were crippled in the blink of an eye. He injured a few. Then Tan Tan was surrounded by the sea of people. Among these people there were some who were weaker than Tan Tan but not by much. Not to mention there were many who were stronger than him. Tan Tan's situation suddenly became precarious. "Big brother. I'll help you." Yao Ningning flew over. His blood was boiling. Life and death, brothers, together in life and death. This was a friend. This was a brother. This was Jianghu. I came to roam Jianghu. Yao Ningning's attack was truly like the fart of a deity. It was extraordinary. He raised his hand and a golden light flashed. Countless hair-like needles shot out. The opponent showed a look of disdain. Such light-flying needles could be blown away by a strong wind. "You're actually using them to fight the enemy? You're really a newbie." With a wave of his sleeve, he wanted to sweep away these needles that were thinner than hair. But these golden needles weren't affected by his energy at all. When he attacked, these golden needles followed his energy and drilled in. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, 7 or 8 people were stabbed like this. In the next moment, screams sounded. Even if these men had their heads chopped off, they might not have screamed. But at this moment they were screaming. After the golden needles pierced the skin, they followed the blood vessels and drilled into the heart in an instant. Soul-destroying heart-severing needle? The leader was shocked. He retreated quickly. Looking at the golden needles that seemed to have no target, he shuddered. This inconspicuous gigolo actually has such a treasure? Soul-destroying heart-severing needle was a legend in Demon Emperor Heaven. It was also a legend in the entire Heaven Imperial Court. This kind of needle wasn't afraid of being blocked by any energy. On the contrary, the more resistance you released, the faster you'd die. Moreover, once the skin was pierced, it would instantly penetrate the heart. It was almost impossible to save them. Legend had it that this item came from the hands of a demon. This demon relied on this weapon to roam the world for many years. In the end, it was said that a high-level expert of the demon race had to personally take action to kill him. However, the name of this soul-destroying heart-severing needle also shook the martial world from then on. How could such a domineering thing suddenly appear on this robber? What was going on? Not to mention anything else, just the value of that soul-destroying heart-severing needle, or even the cost of the production, was more than 3 times of all the things that were robbed. Wasn't this too disregarding the cost? Using this thing to deal with us is really thinking too highly of us. You're quite knowledgeable, old man. Yao Ningning laughed coldly. With a grab of her hand, the soul-destroying heart-severing needle was sucked into her palm. With a wave of her hand, a jet-black whip flew out from her hand. It was about 40 to 50 feet long. With a cracking sound, the 2 saint-level experts rolled on the ground. Their bodies were badly mutilated, and the whip marks were clearly visible, deep to the bone. Soul-locking whip. It's actually the soul-locking whip. The leader's eyes narrowed again. Another legendary treasure, and a super treasure that couldn't be resisted by one's cultivation base. This was something even more domineering than the soul-destroying heart-severing needle. And it wasn't even a consumable item. Where did this little boy get so many treasures from? With such wealth, was there a need to rob him? Chapter 21:17. Everyone, let's kill him. In the blink of an eye, so many people had died. The eyes of the leading Ghost Realm expert were red. The other party had such a precious treasure, yet he still wanted to rob them. He even specifically robbed the people of the 3 major sections. His intention to target them was too obvious. It was already difficult for both sides to end peacefully. Since that was the case, they naturally had to kill the other party as soon as possible. Countless people rushed forward bravely, but they saw that the whip was dancing in the air. It was extremely strange. They used their hands, feet, and spiritual power to block it, but it was all useless. Using swords and sabers, it immediately eliminated the power on the swords and sabers, and then swept the swords away. People still couldn't avoid being injured. Soul-locking whip. This was the soul-locking whip. Legend had it that it was made with the soul tendons of a dragon king. It was indestructible, and there was nothing it couldn't overcome. The moment it attacked, it brought the power of a dragon. It couldn't be destroyed and it couldn't be restrained. Attack the person together. The Ghost Realm expert almost vomited blood. Don't attack that whip. Everyone obeyed and attacked again. Unexpectedly, Yao Ningning's body suddenly released a ball of strange light. Countless small hidden weapons suddenly flew out from her body. Although the hidden weapons were small, they were not as thin as the soul-breaking heart-piercing needles from before. Sky Heart Iron. Heavens! The Ghost Realm expert screamed in despair. Sky Heart Iron, the Sky Heart Iron that specialized in breaking all kinds of elemental power defenses in the world. As long as it was someone below the sage level, they would definitely not be able to resist the attack of the Sky Heart Iron. It would ignore any protective divine power and directly penetrate the body. Of course, it could be dodged, but as long as it was close, there was no way to escape. This was the legendary Sky Heart Iron. The size of a grain of rice was priceless. But thousands of them flew out from this small body in front of them. This was simply more extravagant and wasteful than using money to kill people. This was no longer using money to kill people, it was using Purple Cloud Mountain to kill people. There were a total of 30 or so people attacking at the same time from all directions. They concentrated their attacks, hoping to take down Yao Ningning in the shortest amount of time. This was the moment when the human heads were densely packed together. This time, no one was lucky enough to escape. They were all hit. The Heaven's Heart Iron gently pierced a hole in their bodies. Then it fluttered lightly and returned to Yao Ningning's body. However, everyone stiffened at the same time. Then they fell to the ground with a plop. Not a single one of them was left alive. Heaven's Heart Iron, at the moment of contact with blood, all the meridians, flesh and bones in a person's body would be completely frozen. Instant death incurable. This was precisely the tyrannical and terrifying aspect of the legendary hidden weapon Heaven's Heart Iron. Of all the experts who had besieged him, only the leader remained uninjured. Those who were injured were all dead. He would die if he brushed against it and he would die if he touched it. For a moment, the only thought in this ghost hunter expert's mind was that he wanted to cry. You motherfucker. You motherfucker. This ghost hunter expert was extremely indignant. You motherfucker are too much of a bully. You have so many treasures yourself. You don't even need one. Even if you take out a small fragment of any one of them, it would be more valuable than all of our assets. Moreover, it's the kind that has a price but no supply. Why do you have to rob us? You're too much of a bully. This question was simply so depressing that he couldn't figure it out even if he died. Although he was already destined to die, he still wanted to die with a clear understanding. If he couldn't figure out this question, he wouldn't be able to die in peace. No matter if it was the soul-breaking heart needle, the soul-locking whip, or the heaven's heart iron, any one of these three items was really infamous in the Heaven Imperial Court. They were all legendary super-killing weapons. None of them needed a needle or a grain of iron. Even if it was just a little bit of powder, if it could be scraped off, then the value of the powder would really be more than all of these people's assets added together. In fact, it would be much more valuable. However, such a super-rich person who ordinary people couldn't even afford actually came to rob them. This was like an ordinary worker on Earth suddenly finding out that he was robbed when he got off work. And the person who robbed him was actually Bill Gates, who piloted an aircraft carrier. In fact, not only him, even Tan Tan seemed to be shocked. Just looking at these three treasures, Tan Tan's eyes were full of stars. What the hell? What is the background of this new little brother of mine? Not only is his cultivation higher than me, his big brother, but the treasures on him are even more earth-shattering. Yao Ningning frowned and asked somewhat puzzledly, "My wealth is my own business. What does it have to do with me wanting to rob you?" This sentence was really a stroke of genius. Hearing this, that ghost hunter expert was choked on the spot and couldn't say anything. That's right. His wealth is his own business. What does it have to do with him liking to rob? Even if Bill Gates really piloted planes, cannons, and submarines to rob an ordinary worker, what's the problem? As long as the other party is willing, there's no problem. It's just that this is really unreasonable. He saw Yao Ningning hurriedly collecting the rings on the ground. He opened them one by one and then began to divide the loot. The bigger ones are yours. 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 The rest are all mine. Tan Tan accepted it mechanically. He felt that his brain had short-circuited and hadn't recovered yet. Then he found that he had received more than 1,000 spirit beast cores in this short period of time. This, Tan Tan was somewhat speechless. Yao Ningning raised his head and was surprised to find that ghost hunter expert still standing there. He couldn't help but be puzzled. Why haven't you left yet? This expert of the ghost hunter clan was stunned. 50 people came and he was the only one left. What hope did he have to survive? He was only waiting for the other party's sword to come, and he would be free. In the end, he waited for a long time and got this sentence. Why haven't you left yet? Are you tired of living? You want me to help you? I can't be bothered to do it. There's no benefit to be gained. Yao Ningning tilted his head. The more he looked, the more he felt that this guy had a screw loose in his head. He said to Tan Tan, "Big brother, look. Is there something wrong with this guy's brain? Didn't they say that a bad life is better than a good death?" Yao Ningning's learning ability was very fast. When Chuyang, Tan Tan, and the others called someone together, they would usually call him, "this guy." Yao Ningning learned it immediately and used it immediately. You're the one with a screw loose in your head. You have the nerve to say that someone else has a screw loose in his head. Tan Tan scolded in his heart, but his face deliberately showed a silly look. Yes. Is there something wrong with his brain? He can obviously live, but he wants to die. How can a normal person think like this? The two of them put on a handsome posture and looked at this ghost hunter expert with surprise. This ghost hunter expert's face turned green, then red, then green. Finally, he let out a miserable howl, covered his face and ran away madly. He really lost his last bit of self-esteem. He could run for his life, but he was actually chased away by others. Tan Tan and Yao Ningning looked at each other happily and laughed loudly. They were extremely happy. The two of them walked around and stuck their heads out to look at the surrounding scenery. One of them was silly and the other was curious. They didn't feel that they had just killed so many people, and didn't think that others would come for revenge. Yao Ningning didn't care. In his view, these guys weren't from Demon Emperor Heaven. Killing them was nothing. Old Master, who would dare to find trouble with me in Demon Emperor Heaven? It's fine if they don't come, but if they dare to come, let me have my fill. As for Tan Tan, he was more or less puffing himself up at his own cost. Irashichiang provoked so many enemies. I have to do my best to share some of the pressure for him. As for his own life, he didn't care at all. As for Yao Ningning, Tan Tan wasn't worried at all. If there really was a life-threatening situation, either of Yao Ningning's two uncles would help, and he would be fine. As for his own life and death, whether they would save him or not, Tan Tan didn't care. Saving him was a favor. Not saving him was their duty. There was nothing to complain about. Just as the two of them were strolling around, the elites of the three big sects were all mobilized, and they were rushing towards them. Murderous intent surged and anger soared to the sky. Being killed by an assassin was fine. Both sides were enemies. Being killed by the divine soul of the calamity was fine. Who asked the other party to be so strong that they couldn't go against him? Being ambushed was fine. Being massacred repeatedly was fine. Being unable to do anything. But now they were actually robbed. The other party was just a small fry with two saint positions. Could it be that any random cat or dog could bully the three big sects of Dark Cloud Heaven now? Everyone's hearts were about to explode at this moment. At the same time, Chuyang still had a sickly look on his face. He walked out sickly and his body seemed to be so weak that it was swaying with every step. Using a method that almost annoyed himself, he got rid of all possible attention and came to the street. Then Chuyang felt that something was wrong. Something was very, very, very wrong. Why is the murderous aura on this street today so heavy? It seems that I didn't make a move today. Why did it arouse so much resentment? But he saw that there were two guys coming from afar, talking and laughing. Both of them had their heads held high, their chests puffed out, and their waists straightened. Their faces and bodies were asking for a beating. Chuyang shuddered fiercely and his eyes were wide open. Fuck. Oh my god. This bastard, why would he appear at this place at this time? Chuyang's heart was warm and anxious. There was also an indescribable feeling. Since coming up to the heavenly imperial court, this was the first time that he saw his own brother again. A long-awaited reunion. Tan. This bastard junior brother. The murderous aura from all directions converged at an extremely fast speed. The momentum was so great that even Chuyang was a little surprised. These people shouldn't be coming for him. But if they really weren't coming for him, could it be that they were coming for Tan? Chapter 21:19. Chuyang took a deep breath and suppressed his thumping heart. Then he quietly hid his body. He had just hidden himself when countless people swept past him from all directions. And they crazily rushed towards Tan and his companion. Their killing intent was awe-inspiring. Those people are from the three big sects. Chuyang instantly recognized them. But he couldn't believe what he was seeing. That was because those guys seemed to be in a bad situation where they would collapse at any time. It seems that they are too angry. Their eyes were red and their pupils were bloodshot. Some of them were bristling with anger. It was as if they wanted to eat someone. What did Tan do to them? How did he make these people become like this? Chuyang was somewhat flabbergasted. That was because the situation was too strange. At least, this situation was indeed strange in Chuyang's eyes. I killed so many of their people before. But they didn't seem to have collapsed to this extent, right? How can Tan do this? Tan's innate talent is extraordinary. And his cultivation progress is only slightly below mine. But this is already the limit. I had many fortuitous encounters since I came to the layered heavens. My speed of advancement had already reached an unimaginable level for ordinary people. I was invincible under the Sage Realm. To be honest, at least half of this achievement came from external forces. Then there was the layered heavens divine technique and so on. So Tan couldn't catch up with me in any way. She had already confirmed that Tan's present cultivation was at the level of Sage level. This was already very rare and commendable. However, he could at most deal with experts of the same level. In fact, he might even be able to deal with experts of a higher level. In other words, Tan wouldn't be a match for an expert of the heavenly level. As for his companion, he was much stronger than Tan. He had already reached the peak of the Sage Realm. But he was only SOSO. So, his strength was useless in the face of a Celestial Realm expert. After all, not everyone was as awesome as me who had cultivated the layered heavens divine technique. However, the current situation was that these two people had angered a large group of people in front of them. Moreover, they had angered them to the point that they could collapse at any time. What's going on? Of course, Chuyang was surprised. But he didn't have time to investigate. That was because the current situation had reached a very bad state. He furrowed his brows tightly as he tried to think of a solution. However, no matter how hard he thought, he could not think of any way to resolve the current crisis. The current situation was that Tan and the other guy had been surrounded by these people. Those people from the three major sects were obviously here to settle accounts with them, and there was no lack of experts. Just the number of experts at the celestial being realm was not small. The situation could be said to be precarious. The cultivation of Tan and that guy combined isn't as high as mine. This is obvious. If he were to face them head-on, even if he were to personally make a move, he would only be dead if he were to encounter such a situation. Despite Chuyang's awe-inspiring prowess earlier, most of his previous victories were built on the advantages of surprise attacks and sneak attacks. In addition, the Calamity Sword and Calamity Sword technique were too sharp, and there was also the great motive force of the heaven-conquering divine technique. If Chu Yang's true strength was to be compared to a saint, no one below the level of a saint could be his opponent. However, in a head-on confrontation and one against many, he was still doomed. Then what should he do? Chu Yang's heart was burning with anxiety. The only thing he was sure of was that even if he were to go out, he couldn't let them think that he was with Tan Tan. Otherwise, Tan Tan would really be implicated by him. However, how should he solve this crisis in front of him? Chu Yang took a deep breath and his eyes turned resolute. No matter what kind of crisis or obstacle there was, he couldn't care less now. Chu Yang didn't know Yao Ningning's identity, and he didn't know what Yao Ningning and the others were relying on. He only knew that his brother was in danger and could be killed at any time. Moreover, it was very normal for Tan Tan to do such a thing in a situation where he didn't have any assurance of success, given his usual disposition. As for the guy next to him, his cultivation was obviously higher than Tan Tan's, but he still worshipped Tan Tan. One could imagine how high his IQ was. He couldn't count on him. How could you expect such a person to have any plans or powerful trump cards? Minister Chu shook his head subconsciously. Sigh, that would be too much. So Minister Chu was ready to risk his life. At this moment, he heard a sudden roar from the other side. What the hell are you doing? All of you, go and surround them. A bunch of trash. Even the earth seemed to tremble because of this voice. Chu Yang wasn't unfamiliar with this voice. It belonged to the extremely strong Great Elder of the Ghost Clan. Take him down. The Great Elder of the Ghost Clan didn't even ask. He was about to go crazy because of all the things in front of him. What was the point of asking? Now that someone was riding on his head and shitting on him, he would be a real fool if he still wanted to come up and ask for advice. Wait. Two people shouted at the same time. The experts of the three big sects who were about to press forward were all startled. It was Tan Tan and Yao Ningning who had spoken. Demon King Tan raised his nose and said to the Great Elder of the Ghost Clan, "Old man, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? You dare to offend me. Aren't you afraid that your whole clan will be exterminated?" Tan Tan wasn't completely without schemes. This old man who had just arrived was so powerful that it was beyond the limit of what he could deal with. So, he might as well attack his mind. Attacking his mind was one thing, but he didn't want to lose his prestige and status. So, he said this sentence, which was a very standard idea of Tan Tan. His domineering and arrogant words made the Great Elder of the Ghost Tribe, who was already stamping with rage, even more furious. His lips trembled. At this moment he really wanted to swallow this ugly guy alive. Who are you? Who else can you be? Even if you have a little bit of status, you can't rob people on the road, right? The Great Elder was about to speak when he saw Yao Ningning imitate Tan Tan and say to the Great Elder of the Ghost Clan, "Presumptuous. Old man who just arrived, do you know who I am? You dare to offend me. Aren't you afraid that your whole clan will be exterminated?" The Great Elder of the Ghost Clan went crazy. What kind of people were they? Why were they pretending to be big shots? Weren't they just robbers? Exterminating the entire family, not sparing even chickens and dogs? His entire family was executed and his entire clan was exterminated? Do you think you are Shui Leihan? Or do you think you are Yuan Tianjia? Not the Demon Empress anymore? Take him down. Take him down. The Great Elder of the Ghost Clan roared, "No need to take him down. Everyone go all out and chop him up. Throw him out to feed the dogs." His face had already turned purple from anger. How many years had it been since he got so angry? This time he really couldn't bear it. Clang, clang, clang. Sabers and swords were unsheathed. At this moment, Chu Yang, who was in the shadows, finally made up his mind and suddenly rushed out. "My brother is in danger. I must get him out of this predicament. But the enemies are gathered and there are many experts. I am definitely no match for them. But my brother is in trouble. No matter what, I will do my best." In this specific situation where he bounced back from a hopeless situation, Chu Yang's fighting spirit was suddenly suppressed to the extreme. He struck with his sword, completely selfless. He was only relying on instinct to strike. There was only one thought in his mind. Subconsciously, he chose the move with the greatest power among all his moves. But it was in such a hopeless situation that he inexplicably stimulated his own unlimited potential. All the origin energy in his dantian was completely emptied in an instant. There wasn't a single drop left. In an instant, the whole sky and earth were suddenly filled with a biting, cold, murderous intent. What harm is there in slaughtering the entire world? Chu Yang was extremely anxious and worried. But he had actually successfully used his most powerful move. So far, the ultimate move of the tribulation sword technique. What harm is there in slaughtering the entire world? While the sword move was still in preparation, the energy of the whole world was suddenly emptied due to some situation. Everyone within a radius of 10,000 feet felt as if they couldn't breathe at the same time. An unprecedented silent oppression suddenly enveloped this place. Uncle Hu and Uncle Ma, who were about to move, suddenly paused. A trace of inexplicable fear flashed in their eyes as they looked in a certain direction. As people who were at the peak of the elementary level of Saint, they knew the origin of this aura better than anyone else. How could such an aura be produced? That was the ultimate slaughter. Inhumane and scrupulous slaughter. Moreover, this kind of ultimate slaughter could only appear when an expert at the level of a saint unleashed an all-out attack without holding back. Who was it? Who exactly was it? Which saint had actually gone mad at such a time? In an instant, a majestic sword light filled with madness and destruction suddenly lit up behind the people of the three big sects. At this moment, even the scorching sun in the sky seemed to have lost its brilliance. Although it was broad daylight, everyone could feel that under the illumination of that brilliant sword light, the originally clear sky and bright sun were actually dim and no different from the night sky. The sword light cut through the sky at an extremely fast speed. Its speed was dozens of times faster than flowing light, but it also gave people a feeling that it was incomparably slow. This kind of completely opposite feeling made everyone who felt this artistic conception almost go crazy. At the same time, a mosquito-like voice suddenly transmitted to Tan Tan's ears, "You bastard! Hurry up and leave." A sword light flew up like an angry dragon. It galloped wildly like a golden dragon. In an instant, it turned into a river of stars and majestically entered the crowd. The great elder of the ghost hunter was standing in the front. He suddenly turned around. His cultivation base was the highest among the people here, so only he knew what was going on. Instantly he was scared out of his wits. He screamed at the top of his lungs, "Run!" But the majestic sword light had already rushed into the dense crowd and exploded with a loud bang. It was as if all the crystals in the world were gathered here and shattered at this moment. That gorgeous and resplendent light, that space was shattered into countless folds. Chapter 21:20. Wherever the sword light went, the densely packed crowd seemed to suddenly evaporate. Boom. The sword light was 100 feet thick when it melted, and all the people from the three great sects within its range were turned into ashes without exception. 4 or 5 beginner sages and 7 or 8 celestial beings from the three sects rushed forward like crazy. Block. Every single one of them channeled their lifetime's worth of cultivation to resist with all their might. Facing such a terrifying sword energy, fighting back was just a joke. If they could block it, they would be happy. Even if they resisted with all their might, they might not be able to block it. However, if they didn't block it, they were afraid that after this bloody alley, 70 to 80% of the over 3,000 sect disciples present would be finished. Boom. It was as if the two most dazzling meteors had suddenly collided while flying high in the sky. More than a dozen experts scattered in all directions like exploding bombs. So what if it was the ultimate version of Slaughter the World? With extreme compression and extreme explosion, the power was at the peak of the skill. Such a terrifying attack was almost equivalent to a beginner sage gathering all his life force to self-destruct. Such power was unstoppable. Of the dozen or so experts who were fighting head-on, all of them were spurting out blood. 5 of them were already limp and powerless when they were flying through the air. They were completely unable to control their bodies. Blood spurted out of their bodies like rainbows as they flew far away. The few great elders with the highest cultivation were sent flying, blood spurting out from their mouths. Their internal organs were shaken violently and they felt dizzy. As for the sword light, it was scattered for a moment because of this strong interception. Then it condensed again and resolutely rushed towards the scattered crowd. The street where the incident happened was quite wide. As one of the main streets of Lone Bamboo City, it could accommodate a large number of people. But at this moment, the once spacious street seemed extremely narrow. Waves of blood surged up without stopping. In just a moment, the entire street was dyed in a layer of bright red. A hoarse voice laughed, "How rare! So many people lined up and waited for me to kill them. If I don't fulfill your good intentions, I would be letting you down. I would regret it for the rest of my life." Amidst the wild and arrogant laughter, the sword light that was as wide as the entire street shook inexplicably and then shot straight up into the sky. Behind him, a figure pounced forward at an indescribably terrifying speed. It was mixed with a heart-wrenching roar, Stay. The person who came later was the great elder of the Iron Sword sect. So far, the three great sects had suffered heavy losses, especially the Iron Sword sect. Almost all of them had been wiped out in this battle. Faced with such an outcome, the great elder of the Iron Sword sect went mad. At this moment he had already lost all reason. The only thought in his mind was to destroy the source of all this. Even though the great elder of the Iron Sword sect could already foresee that the sword light was about to fly far away, he still chased after it with all his might. Activating all of his elemental life force, he actually managed to catch up to Chu Yang, who was fleeing at full speed right after the first strike. Bastard! Where do you think you're going? Hand over your life. The great elder of the Iron Sword sect shouted harshly as he charged forward without any regard for his own safety. Chu Yang's heart suddenly trembled. He did not dare to be careless. Gathering his remaining strength, he waved the Calamity sword in the air. With a boom, the two collided in the air. Bang, 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 puff, 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 a series of sounds completely intertwined at that moment. The entire process seemed to take a long time to describe, but in fact the two separated as soon as they touched. Chu Yang let out a miserable groan, and once again rose into the air. He staggered in the air and then groaned, strong. He opened his mouth and a mouthful of scarlet blood turned into a blood mist and dissipated in the air. Then the sword light flashed and this time it really disappeared. No one could chase after it anymore. However, those who were observant could see that although the speed of this sword light was extremely fast, and it was impossible to catch up to it, the sword shadow was faintly wobbling. It was obvious that the person who had attacked it was seriously injured. This point was clearly seen by the great elder of the Demon Ghost sect, who was especially concerned about it. However, at this moment almost everyone was seriously injured. Even if they wanted to chase after it, they were already powerless and could only sigh helplessly. Unless they were like the great elder of the Iron Sword sect and chased after it without a care for their lives. However, they were still somewhat reluctant to give up their lives. After all, the other two sects were not as bad as the Iron Sword sect. They still had strength to spare. Great Elder! The remaining 100 or so people of the Iron Sword sect cried out sorrowfully. In the air, the Great Elder's body floated and spun as he fell to the ground. His throat, forehead, heart, back, neck, head, lower abdomen, chest, dantian, everywhere that could be fatal, blood spurted out. His pair of eyes had already become hollow and numb. He spun as he fell from the air, lifeless. Like a piece of withered land in late autumn, he fell into the arms of his brothers who were crying like rain. He was already on the verge of death. He had used all of his strength and had struck Chu Yang with 10 palms in a row. He had left Chu Yang with the most serious injuries since the beginning of this surprise attack. But his body had also been stabbed 17 times by Chu Yang's sword in a frenzied manner as if his life depended on it. The Calamity sword swallowed every sword. It devoured the Great Elder's boundless life force. After 17 swords, the Great Elder of the Iron Sword sect had already lost all his life force. There was no way to reverse the situation. There was no chance of survival. Opening his lifeless eyes, the Great Elder of the Iron Sword sect suddenly laughed hoarsely. He muttered, "One cannot have a guilty conscience. If one has a guilty conscience, one will definitely lose." Suddenly he struggled to get up. He struggled to raise his head and laughed bitterly, "If one has a guilty conscience, one will definitely die." He laughed hoarsely again. Suddenly, blood flowed out from his 7 orifices. He muttered, "Tell the sect master. Just for the sake of the Iron Sword sect's hundreds of thousands of years of foundation. Is it possible to disregard one's conscience? Really? Is it worth it?" The Iron Sword sect disciples who were hugging him all cried bitterly. However, the Great Elder had already closed his eyes. He had closed his eyes forever. There was no possibility of him opening them again. Although blood was still flowing from his body, he no longer made any sound. He was dead. One person, one sword came unhindered and left unhindered. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. The other party did not even stop. However, the thousands of people from the 3 great sects who had gathered here had been reduced by 2/3. Although everyone knew that the person who had come had paid a huge price, such an outcome still shocked everyone. Even Uncle Hu and Uncle Ma, who were watching from afar, were shocked. In terms of cultivation, they were already at the pinnacle of the beginner saint level. Either one of them was confident that they could face that person head-on and not be at a disadvantage. They could even win. However, to achieve such a result, even if both of them were to attack at the same time, they might not be able to achieve it. One must know that none of the people here were mediocre. Every one of them was a true expert of the saint level or above. Sharp. Uncle Hu took a deep breath. Sharp indeed. Uncle Ma's eyes were deep in thought. This person had attacked a few times. The first attack was that night. The three great sects lost 1,000 people. The entire process was silent. The second attack was at the city gates in the early morning. He killed more than 300 people with one sword. There was only a moment between the third and the second attack. Several hundred people from Iron Sword sect died at the city gates. The fourth attack was in the middle of the night. He killed 400 people in a surprise attack. Then he intercepted and killed the reinforcements. He did it 3 times. Today is the 8th time he's made a move. Uncle Ma's eyes were filled with intense shock. These 8 attacks have killed nearly 8,000 people. More than half of the elites of the 3 great sects in Moyun Sky have been cleaned up by him alone. Uncle Hu's face twitched. The 3 great sects only sent a little more than 1,000 people this time. But now, almost 8,000 people have died in this person's hands. If we count the people killed by Tai He in this Tan Tan, the number of people from the 3 great sects who are still alive is probably less than 1,000. After calculating in this way, the two of them looked at each other in shock. They didn't know before calculating, but they were shocked after calculating. Only then did they realize that the people from the 3 great sects were almost all killed by that person. As for those who were killed by the combination of a certain person and Tai He, although it wasn't a hair on an ox, it was only a few dozen people. It was basically negligible. All that could be seen was a gloomy and miserable fog. The ground was full of blood and broken limbs. It was like an artificial azure hell. And it was in such a short period of time. Yao Ningning stood there and was truly shocked by this sudden turn of events. He stared at the scene of purgatory in the human world. He only felt the shock and worship in his heart coming like a tsunami. This was the act of a hero. This was the blood of the Jianghu. This was a massacre. Tai He was still sighing from the bottom of his heart. He was immersed in a daze. When things just happened, Tan Tan wanted to pull him and escape in the chaos. But Yao Ningning didn't react at all. Tan Tan, whose cultivation was inferior, couldn't pull Tai He away no matter what. Tan Tan was also helpless. What was going on with this guy? Why did he suddenly act like an idiot at this time? He couldn't pull him away. He couldn't just run away by himself, right? Therefore, Great Demon King Tan could only helplessly accompany him. His heart was infinitely tangled. Your sister. Even if you want to fucking go crazy, can't you change the time and place? This is a battlefield now, Great Master. Chu Yang was seriously injured, but his heart was very calm. In Chu Yang's opinion, the chaos he had created after such a big massacre was enough for Tan Tan to escape 100 times. With Tan Tan's intelligence and more importantly with Chu Yang's sound transmission, Tan Tan would seize the opportunity to escape no matter what. Therefore, even though he had completely emptied himself this time, and had even seriously injured himself, it was still very worth it. Chapter 21-21. Especially this time he didn't expose his relationship with Tan Tan at all. Chu Yang left without looking back. He was very calm and relieved. At this time he had to find a hidden place to heal himself. If he delayed any longer he might be the first to leave. But he never thought that there would be someone in this world who would be in a daze and worship him in such a situation. So much so that even the main target, Tan Tan, couldn't leave. Fortunately, Minister Chu didn't look back. If he looked back and saw that Tan Tan and that guy were still standing in their original positions, Mo Yunchen's people wouldn't need to do anything. Chu Yang would definitely be so angry that he would vomit blood and die. Until the sword light that Chu Yang transformed into disappeared completely, Yao Ningning suddenly came back to his senses. His eyes were still full of fervent worship. This is the first time I've seen such a powerful person in my life. He's really too domineering. The Grand Elder wasn't stingy with his praise. Too arrogant. Too cool. He's simply too cool. How can there be such an extraordinary man in this world? Under Tan Tan's speechless gaze, Yao Ningning had shockingly turned into a groupie in an instant. Wah! I admire him so much. He's simply too handsome and cool. He's so awesome that there's no limit to it. He's so cool that it's inhumane. Wow. I must get to know this person. My idol. Tan Tan looked at a certain old man dumbfoundedly. He felt that his nerves, which had always been thick, suddenly spasmed at this moment. Big brother, I know that you're shocked and I know that you worship him. I also know how you feel in your heart. To be honest, I feel the same. But, can you stop talking now? My senior brother has left, but there are still so many people here who haven't been killed. Originally those guys were in grief and fear. Even if you dragged me down and made me miss the best chance to retreat, we still had a chance to escape. But you're actually sighing with emotion at this time and so loudly? Are you afraid that you can't attract hatred? Even if you're tired of living, I haven't lived enough yet. Save me. Sure enough, as Tan Tan expected, once Yao Ningning said this sentence, the remaining 700 to 800 people all turned their heads. No matter which sect they were from, everyone's eyes were red as they stared straight over. His eyes were filled with deep hatred. So many of our people have died, and that guy over there is actually clapping his hands and praising the murderer? In the face of so many people's gazes, Yao Ningning was calm and composed without any fear. He could even maintain that reckless look and even said with a little exultation, "Today's battle is really too satisfying. Think about it, when you are surrounded and someone suddenly appears out of nowhere." He stared at the sky with his eyes wide open, his imagination running wild. He's just like a powerful demon god attacking. Oh, it's really too shocking. Black clothes, black robe, black mask, and a sword flash like the scorching sun in the sky. Under his powerful attack, all the enemies melted like snow, instantly vanishing into thin air. He came suddenly and left suddenly. What kind of realm is this? With just one strike he was able to retreat unscathed. Peerless elegance. I want to learn from him. I must learn from him. As Yao Ningning spoke, his blood seemed to be boiling. He was unable to contain his joy. Tan Tan, don't you think he's handsome? Isn't he handsome? Isn't he handsome? Isn't he handsome? Tan Tan only felt that his throat was dry. For the first time in his life he hated the word handsome so much. Handsome my ass. No matter how handsome he was, it wasn't as important as his own life. He swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva dryly and said, shouldn't we think of a way to escape first before talking about other things? Yao Ningning disagreed. He gestured with his hand and said disdainfully, escape? What escape? We have the upper hand now. Just these people? Tiske. Even if they were given 3 more guts, they wouldn't dare to attack me. I've really burned them. They actually dared to brandish their swords at me. Have they all put the guts of the leopard clan in their chests? The chest of the great elder of the ghost clan rose and fell rapidly. He glared at Yao Ningning and said through his teeth, everyone attack together. Kill him. Kill this little bastard at all costs. He roared, kill this fucking bastard. All the people of the 3 great sects roared in anger at the same time, kill this fucking bastard. Fucking bastard? The main party involved, Yao Ningning, and the secondary party, Tan Tan, didn't feel anything when they heard these words. Especially Tan Tan. As the saying goes, there's no good way to scold someone. When he was in the Heaven Palace he had heard all kinds of scolding words. Not to mention that Tan Tan was a chatterbox who was very good at scolding people. He probably wouldn't take words 100 times more vicious than this to heart. But this sentence made Hu and Ma, who were watching the battle from a building far away, instantly furious. In the territory of the Demon Emperor Heaven, there was actually someone who dared to curse the great elder of the demon race like this? Especially that sentence, it was a great insult to the Demon Empress herself. If this spread out, it would really be a great humiliation to the Demon Emperor Heaven. Many people rushed up with their swords and sabers in hand. As they rushed, they kept on cursing madly. They cursed whatever was unpleasant to hear, whatever was embarrassing to hear. They really did not hold back from cursing to the extreme. For so many years, it wasn't that the 3 great sects had never suffered grievances, but when had they ever suffered such a heavy loss? The essence of the entire sect was almost completely lost in this territory. It was almost the same as the entire sect being finished. With that little bit of strength left, even if they didn't suffer any losses and returned to the Ink Cloud Heaven, the 3 great sects of the Ink Cloud Heaven would be completely wiped out. They would be reduced to 2nd or even 3rd-rate sects, or even worse. Even if their own inheritance was intact, wanting to make a comeback, it would take at least 1,000,000 years. Such a heavy loss, such heavy casualties, and the bleak fate in front of them and in the future. The survivors of the 3 great sects seemed to have lost their minds. In addition, there was no lack of the mentality of cooking the rabbit and eating the dog. We can't take care of that mysterious assassin, but can't we take care of you 2 small shrimps? Today he was going to pick on the weak one and vent his anger before anything else. It was under the influence of such a mentality that their words naturally became increasingly unpleasant to hear. Fuck your ancestors, you little bastard. You're courting death. Just you wait, you old man. Wait and see if I won't play you to death. Little bastard, I'll put you in 108 different positions in a while. I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. You'll wish you were dead. Fuck your mother. Don't let me know who you are. Otherwise, I'll exterminate your clan. I'll kill your entire family. I'll kill your entire clan. I'll cut the weeds and dig up the roots. I won't leave even the chickens and dogs. I won't just kill your entire family. I'll dig up your ancestral grave and exterminate 18 generations of your ancestors. Countless people fiercely cursed and fiercely rushed forward. The momentum was quite frightening. The great elder of the ghost clan took the lead. His face was full of malevolence. Kill. Chop him into pieces. Dig up his roots again. A clan that can cultivate such a little bastard is certainly not a good thing. I'll exterminate his clan today. I'll exterminate his entire clan. Dig up his roots and break his clan. Seeing such a terrible situation, Tan Tan's heart involuntarily sighed. Brother, I had some intentions of using you before. But I won't leave you today. I'll accompany you to die here. I'm not letting you down. I hope you won't blame me when we walk together. So he stepped forward bravely and shouted, You're just a group of defeated generals. What are you shouting for? Come at me if you have the guts. Don't touch my brother. Someone sneered malevolently, Little bastard, do you think you can still run away? Neither of you can run away. Both of you will die. Yao Ningning's eyes became hot. She was on the verge of tears. This was the first time in her life that she personally felt the legendary warmth of friendship. She smiled and said somewhat chokingly, Brother Tan, don't worry. We won't die. Hearing this, Tan Tan was angry and amused at the same time. You fucking dare to say that. There are 700 to 800 people on the other side. Everyone's cultivation isn't inferior to ours. They're besieging us and you're telling me not to worry? Can I be at ease? If we can't die like this, how can we die like this? Great Demon King Tan endlessly lamented in his heart. There's always someone better than you. I always thought that I was unconventional. But I never thought that this guy would be even more unconventional than me. You're about to be dismembered into pieces at this moment. But you're still boasting shamelessly. You're so stubborn that you're like a dead duck. I'll write the word convinced for you, okay? Some of the people from the 3 big sects had good eyesight. They saw that some people's eyes were glistening with tears. They were choking with sobs. Then they laughed wildly. Everyone take a look. That little guy is crying from fright. He's crying from fright even before the fight. Do you know fear now? What's the use of knowing fear now? There'll be more frightening things later. Do you think he's afraid of death? Wait for a few days. Then you'll use all means to beg for a quick death after you can't die even if you want to. This little guy has tender skin. His tearful appearance is quite tempting. Not bad, not bad. The people of the 3 big sects were stirred up. They were arrogant and insufferably arrogant. Their previous dejection had been washed away. They approached Tan Tan and Yao Ningning step by step. At this critical juncture, the cold light of the swords reflected on their blades. Suddenly, a loud shout was heard, Stop! 2 figures descended from the sky along with the shout. Whoosh! Walalala! The people who had besieged them were sent flying in all directions. The 2 figures that had descended from the sky were like 2 immovable mountains. They towered in front of Tan Tan and Yao Ningning. How dare you scoundrels! Uncle whose loud shout stupefied the great elder of the ghost tribe who was about to fly into a rage. He had already judged the approximate strength of the 2 people who had come just by the contact of their auras. They weren't inferior to him. Moreover, both of them were so. Both of them were super experts who were at least at the level of saints. Oh my God. Chapter 21-22. It was undoubtedly too early for Elder Guici to shout, because what he really needed was to shout. The time for heaven is still behind. A group of Jianghu thugs, how dare you besiege this heaven and insult this heaven's demon empress? This crime is unforgivable. This roar immediately threw the great elder of the ghost territory into disarray, making him feel dizzy. Tai Tai Tai? Where is Tai Tai? One of the 2 people opposite is Tai Tai. This heaven Tai. Demon Emperor Tai Tai. But there were still some people who did not hear clearly, and continued to brandish their swords and sabers as they charged forward. Hu and Ma were enraged when they saw this. They each took out their weapons and shouted, Kill the rebels! Kill the assassins! Kill without mercy! Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In an instant a few people fell down. When the great elder of the ghost tribe saw the 2 of them fight, he felt a chill down his spine. His assessment just now was too optimistic. The cultivation of these 2 people was not lower than his. They were obviously higher than him. They were at least at the peak of the primary stage of the Sage realm. Unknowingly, the identity of the Demon Emperor suddenly became more credible. Stop. Everyone stop. The great elder of the Ghost Hunter shouted. The one who shouted was his own people. If this trip not only did not complete the mission, but also offended the Demon Emperor, in that case, the luck of our three great sects is truly incurable. Don't even think about making a comeback. Let's just get rid of the name of our sect. At this moment, a horn suddenly sounded in the city, and it resounded through the clouds. In an extremely short period of time, countless Demon Emperor Heaven's army surrounded the last few people of the three great sections. Swords and spears flashed, and the tips of their swords were pointed straight at them. Elder Hu and Elder Ma, the two saint-level experts, stood at the front of the army. Their brows were furrowed and their faces were frosty. They did not hide their awe-inspiring intentions at all. Elder Guasi saw this situation, and his last trace of fantasy vanished instantly. He was stunned on the spot. It was actually the Demon Emperor Heaven's Tai. The remaining 700 to 800 people of the three great sects were all dumbfounded like ducks shocked by lightning. They were stunned and could not speak. The only feeling they had was the wind blowing in their heads. Tai? Is it real or fake? Looking at the situation in front of them, it should be real. But, who the fuck has ever seen such a person? Openly smashing a casino, extorting and blackmailing, then robbing people in broad daylight and even killing people in broad daylight. When he scolded people, it was smooth. His unreasonable behavior had been passed down to him. This kind of Grand Master. Motherfucker, we thought that our Muyun Heaven's Grand Elder was already a weirdo for snatching a commoner's girl, and was already a piece of trash. Who would have thought that Demon Emperor Heaven's Grand Elder was even more awesome than our Grand Elder? No, he was simply too awesome. What the fuck is this? Could it be that the heavens want to play with our three great sects to death? How could they create such a great master? This. The great elder of the Ghost Clan's mouth twitched. His lips twitched as he said, This is a misunderstanding. It wasn't that the great elder of the Ghost Tribe didn't want to explain, but he really didn't know how to explain. Just now the people on his side had cursed and scolded him. How could he say it was a misunderstanding? Even if it was a misunderstanding, how could this misunderstanding be resolved? The 18 generations of the Grand Elder's ancestors, male and female relatives, were all taken care of without exception. How could this be explained by a misunderstanding? Misunderstanding your head? Do you think we're all blind and deaf? Uncle Hu shouted, Take them all down. Finally, he found a place to vent the frustration that he had accumulated over the past few days. The Demon Emperor Heaven's army surrounded them like wolves and tigers. The people of the three great sects looked at the great elder of the Ghost Tribe with pleading eyes. However, everyone's heart was already in despair, and they no longer had the slightest bit of resistance. Their gazes were also somewhat panicked. How they had scolded the Grand Elder just now, everyone remembered very clearly. It was so unpleasant to hear. Especially the Grand Elder's mother, who had 8 generations of bad luck. Who was the Grand Elder's mother? She was the Demon Empress, the Heavenly Emperor of the Demon Emperor Heaven. Under such circumstances, it was truly wishful thinking to want the Demon Emperor Heaven to give them a way out. The great elder of the Ghost Tribe still wanted to speak, trying to make a final effort. However, Elder Ma had already said coldly, If anyone resists, kill them without mercy. Capture them all and throw them into the demon prison. Everyone on the side of the three great sects felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over their heads. Their hearts were cold. Looking at the soldiers who were like wolves and tigers rushing forward, everyone was at a loss of what to do. If they resisted, then they would be charged with the crime. If they didn't resist, then they would be arrested. Most likely they would be dead meat. While they were hesitating, they were already pressed to the ground one by one. Ropes were tied around their bodies, tigers in cages. It seemed like it should be sick cats in cages. Seeing the city guards capture all the people of the three great sects in one fell swoop and lead them away with ropes around their necks, Tan was so shocked that he was speechless. I say, you're really the Demon Emperor Heaven's great elder. Tan stared at Yao Ningning with his eyes wide open. His gaze was very surprised. Yao Ningning hurriedly smiled apologetically. In the eyes of outsiders, I indeed have such an identity. Ah. In Big Brother's eyes, of course. He was just about to say a few words of modesty and then express his sincerity. He was afraid that the friends he had made with great difficulty would be scared away by his identity. Even if they weren't scared away, the sudden change in attitude would also be very unpleasant. How could that be the friends he wanted? Just as the great elder was feeling apprehensive and worried about his gains and losses, he saw Tan Tan suddenly kick over and scolded, "You're the great elder. Why didn't you say it earlier? Damn it. You're playing the great elder? You made the great elder so worried? Why don't you go and die?" The great elder of the demon emperor heaven, who was still awe-inspiring just now, was suddenly kicked away by this sudden kick. His entire person fell solidly on the ground. A standard example of a dog eating shit. On the side, the city guards who were still guarding there looked at each other in dismay. Damn, isn't this great elder a little too bold? Uncle Hu and Uncle Ma covered their faces and sighed. I really don't know where this mischievous fellow came from. It's fine if you were a little rude when you didn't know the great elder's identity. But after knowing, you're actually still so rude and even worse. You're really a weirdo. Yao Ningning crawled up from the ground and smiled apologetically. Big brother, I didn't mean it that way. But I haven't had the time yet. Tan Tan recalled his worry just now. It was fine if he was worried, but it seemed that he was still planning to walk together with this dishonest little brother. He even felt that he had let him down. He couldn't help but get angrier and angrier the more he thought about it. He scolded and punched and kicked him as if he was hitting a punching bag. Bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit your mother. Are you fucking thinking of showing off? First you fucking hide your identity, then you fucking suddenly reveal it. You wanna fucking shock me? Then you want me to fucking come and kowtow to you? Damn you. Fucking you. Damn you. Who told you to show off in front of me? Who told you to show off? Who told you to show off? Too much of a bird. Bird. I'll beat you to death, you pretentious fool. Puff puff puff, bang bang bang. The more Tan Tan scolded Yao Ningning, the more righteous he became. Yao Ningning felt that he was in the wrong the more he heard. In fact, he was in the wrong. So, he didn't dare to use his cultivation to protect himself. Instead, he held his head and begged for mercy. Big brother, please don't be angry. Big brother, please don't be angry. It's this younger brother's fault. It's all this younger brother's fault. It's all this younger brother's fault. Treat? Do I fucking want your treat? Tan Tan didn't give up. I have plenty of money. Do I care about your treat? Yes, yes, yes. Yao Ningning's face was full of flattery. Aren't I asking Big Brother to give me some face? Give me some face. Then why don't you be more sincere? With your current behavior, I'm not in the mood to. Yes, 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 yes. Everyone in the surroundings fainted in unison. Oh my god. What the fuck was this? Wasn't this too weird? How could such a thing happen? Motherfucker, how could there be such a weirdo in this world? A wanderer of the pugilistic world cursed and chased after His Highness for an entire day to beat him up. Also, why was this guy scolding so unpleasant? His mouth was full of 3 words. The upper echelons of the Demon Emperor Heaven were all unlucky 17 to 18 times. Although the people from the 3 great sects had also scolded them, it didn't seem to be as outrageous as this person. 700 to 800 people were all locked up and thrown into prison to eat prison food. But this guy's scolding was several times worse than theirs, and he was actually fine. When the Grand Elder invited him to a meal, he actually had to beg the other party to give him face. It was really a wonder of the world, rare since ancient times. Tan Tan snorted and turned to leave. Motherfucker, after all this time, I'm hanging out with a highness. It's so embarrassing. Forget it, forget it. Let's go, let's go. Yao Ningning followed him eagerly. Big brother boss, I'll go with you to roam the pugilistic world. I don't dare, I don't dare. You'd better be a highness. I'm hungry. I won't serve you any more. Tan Tan walked in front with his head held high. I'll treat you. I have good wine. Ha 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 ha. Big brother boss. Come, come, come. Yao Ningning eagerly followed and didn't leave at all. He nodded and bowed like a lackey. Big brother, how do you think we should deal with those people we captured? Yao Ningning asked eagerly. Deal with what? How would I know how to deal with them? Tan Tan rolled his eyes. Anyway, they were scolding you and most of them were beating you. Most importantly, they disrupted your steps in roaming the pugilistic world. Is it too much to describe it as unpardonable? It's not too much. It's not too much at all. It's unpardonable. So let's kill them all? Yao Ningning expressed his agreement and asked cautiously. It was like a subordinate asking for instructions from a leader. Chapter 21-24. Do as you please. Tan Tan still had the appearance of being indifferent to him. Pass down my order. Those people are audacious. They insulted the demon empress, attempted to assassinate the empress, disturbed the peace of the Demon Emperor's heaven, bewitched the people and attempted to rebel. Their crimes are unpardonable. Yao Ningning ordered loudly, "Execute them all." How awe-inspiring. Tan Tan squinted. "You flatter me." Yao Ningning followed like a lackey. "Big brother, let's go for a drink?" "Oh, seeing that you're so sincere." Tan Tan frowned reluctantly. "I'll forgive you." "Well, thank you, big brother. You're really a good person. You're broad-minded and tolerant. You're handsome and elegant. You're chivalrous and courageous." The two talked as they walked. They walked further and further away. Behind them, the thousands of city guards and the experts of the Demon Emperor's heaven who had just rushed over, led by Elder Hu and Elder Ma, were all in a mess. They were dumbfounded and their mouths were crooked. That guy just now was really too cool. As the saying goes, killing one person in 10 steps and leaving no trace for 1,000 miles. No, it should be more appropriate to say that he killed 1,000 people with a single step and disappeared in an instant. After 3 rounds of drinking, Yao Ningning was still full of praise. That battle just now, although it was only a short time, it really dazzled me. It's amazing. Tan Tan rolled his eyes and said, "That? Actually, that. Haha, it's just that. It's not worth mentioning, not worth mentioning." Although that tone seemed to be disdainful, it faintly contained a lot of pride. Yao Ningning suddenly became smart. He sensitively felt that Tan Tan's words had something to say. He asked suspiciously, "Big brother Tan, from what you said, it seems to be very meaningful. Could it be that you actually know that person?" "Of course." Tan Tan looked like he had accidentally said something wrong. He hurriedly waved his hand. No, I don't know him. It's also my first time in the Heaven Imperial Court. How could I know such an outstanding person? I don't know him. I really don't know him." Yao Ningning's heart itched even more. "Big brother Tan, just tell me." She actually acted like a spoiled child. Her voice also became a little coquettish and she even twisted her body. Tan Tan suddenly felt his blood run cold. A certain private part of his body subconsciously tightened. He hastily raised his hands. I know you. Speak properly. Don't have that expression on your face. Makes me panic." Yao Ningning was shocked. "Who is that person? Your friend?" Tan Tan looked left and right. Then he lowered his voice and mysteriously said, He, why didn't that person appear earlier or later? Why did he appear the moment we encountered a crisis? What kind of logic do you think this is to resolve our crisis in an instant?" Yao Ningning immediately became excited. "Are you saying that he's actually here to save us?" Tan Tan slapped his thigh and raised his thumb. "You've finally become smart for once." Yao Ningning scratched her ears and cheeks, unable to contain her joy. "Could it be, he knows us? I just praised you for being smart and now you're showing your true colors." "Wrong. Very wrong." Tan Tan looked at her with disdain. "He doesn't know us. He knows me. Do you understand the difference?" Yao Ningning said, "Knows you? Doesn't know me? Nonsense. I've known you for such a long time. Do you think I don't know your details?" Tan Tan spoke in a resolute and decisive manner. His face was full of pride. "That man is my senior martial brother whom I had mentioned earlier. Do you know now?" Yao Ningning suddenly jumped up. "That's your Shu." Tan Tan covered her mouth. "You idiot, lower your voice. Do you want everyone to know such a big secret?" Yao Ningning sat down. She was so excited that her face was red. She kept rubbing her hands. This. Big brother, can I get to know him? Can you help me arrange something?" I. "He's my idol now." Tan Tan rolled his eyes. "This matter is a bit difficult to handle. Please, you have to introduce me to this big brother." Yao Ningning pleaded. I'm really very excited. How can I not meet such an influential person? Brother Tan, please help me." "I won't help you. You haven't met my senior brother yet, and this big brother of mine has already become Big Brother Tan. When I really meet my senior brother, will I still have a place to stand? Although my senior brother is a dragon among men, handsome and outstanding, I'm not bad either." Tan Tan seemed to be a little jealous. Damn it. It's my fault. You're still the big brother. Your brother is the big brother. This should be fine, right? I just want to look up to such an extraordinary person. I didn't show any disrespect to you. You have to understand." Yao Ningning saw that Tan Tan was picking on him, so he hurriedly tried to make up for it. His attitude was sincere and he was incomparably obsequious. If this were to be seen by anyone in the Demon Emperor Heaven who knew a certain Tai, even if they didn't go crazy from anger, they would go crazy from anger. Wasn't this too shameful? Tan Tan snorted. Let's drink first. I'm not done being angry with you yet. After we drink and I'm completely appeased, I'll think of a way for you. But you've seen my senior brother with your own eyes. He's a so-called legendary person. He's definitely not easy to get in touch with. I understand. Capable people are usually not easy to get in touch with. I understand this principle. Yao Ningning nodded. His face was full of yearning. At this moment, there was a slight disturbance in Lone Bamboo City. Countless unfamiliar and powerful auras suddenly surged over. Tan Tan and Yao Ningning were startled at the same time. If this aura was scattered, it wouldn't be that impressive. Most of it wasn't even as powerful as a certain Tai and a certain Demon King. Only about 30% of it was stronger than the two of them, reaching the celestial being realm. But with so many auras combined together, this power was quite impressive. It was probably more than 10 times the power of the three big sects at their peak. The source of this tyrannical power was obvious. It was obvious. Mo Yuntian's army, the main force of this siege on Chuyang, finally arrived at Lone Bamboo City in large batches. The atmosphere in Lone Bamboo City became unprecedentedly tense in an instant. And now, Tan Tan and Yao Ningning's legendary person, absolute idol, senior brother Chuyang, was coughing up blood in a small, secluded courtyard. It couldn't be helped. The injuries he suffered this time were too serious. The severity of the injuries this time was far beyond Chuyang's expectations. At the beginning of the previous collision, Chuyang had already expected that he would be seriously injured, even at the risk of losing his life. But he didn't expect misfortune to be a blessing in disguise. He comprehended the ultimate move, what harm is there in slaughtering the entire world, at that critical moment. So the degree of his injuries wasn't very serious. It couldn't even be said to be too serious. Unfortunately, the god of fortune did not follow Chuyang all the way. After his successful strike, Chuyang had achieved his goal and was about to retreat at full speed. However, he did not expect that the great elder of the Iron Sword sect would suddenly go crazy. He rushed forward with the intention of perishing together with Chuyang. Risking his life, he also crazily slapped his own body with those 10 palms. Chuyang had used the remaining momentum of, what harm is there in slaughtering the entire world, to kill that guy. However, he knew his own condition. Under such a crazy attack, his internal organs had almost been shaken into fine powder. Basically, none of his organs were still intact. In addition, there were at least 7 fractures on his body. At least 4 of his ribs were broken. Moreover, they were broken into several pieces. With such serious internal and external injuries, if not for the continuous recovery and nourishment of the heaven-splitting divine technique and the help of the spiritual energy overflowing from the tribulation space, Chuyang might have followed in the footsteps of the Iron Sword sect's elder and died together with him. In the face of such a heavy injury, Chuyang had already exhausted all his mental and physical strength to hold on until he got rid of the tracking of the divine sense and returned to that shabby small courtyard. When he had confirmed that he was safe for the time being, his mind had slightly relaxed. He immediately felt that he might not be able to hold on any longer. The most important thing at the moment was undoubtedly to save his own life. However, when Chuyang mobilized his spiritual energy to operate the heaven-piercing divine technique to heal his injuries, he unexpectedly found that the super-spiritual energy that had been continuously pouring out of the tribulation space until now had disappeared. It should be good news that the super-spiritual energy was gone. Although the super-spiritual energy was a good thing, it was also a barrier between Chuyang and the tribulation space. Now that this barrier was gone, perhaps it meant that he could reopen the tribulation space that he hadn't seen for a long time. But it was gone at such a critical moment. It was more or less a toothache. When one is unlucky, one can even stuff one's teeth with cold water. Although the super-spiritual energy was gone, the tribulation space was still dead silent. Fuck. Chuyang couldn't help but curse angrily. It was fine that the abundant spiritual energy was gone. You could reopen the tribulation space, but the reality was that the tribulation space still couldn't be opened. This sudden change made Chuyang's balls ache. Things were actually developing in a direction that was getting worse and worse. Perhaps Chuyang's inauspicious mouth had reached a new level. Just as they confirmed that the spiritual energy had disappeared and that there was no hope of opening the tribulation space, they suddenly felt an extremely powerful and chaotic aura descending upon Lone Bamboo City. A ferocious and dangerous aura rose up along with it. The atmosphere of the entire Lone Bamboo City became very bleak because of this. Chuyang didn't need to think to know that Mo Yuntian's main army had finally locked onto Lone Bamboo City. They were even close to Lone Bamboo City. These regular soldiers were not like the Jianghu people of the three big sections. His biggest crisis had finally arrived. Chu Yang gritted his teeth and swallowed one of the two remaining super heavy pills. This was something that he had no choice about. Once he was locked on by the enemy, especially when he hadn't recovered yet, he was afraid that he wouldn't even have the most basic means to escape. Speaking of which, this was the first time Chu Yang had taken a whole super heavy pill. Chapter 21-25. There was no other reason other than the fact that the resources to refine the super heavy pill were too scarce. Thinking about it, with the huge amount of resources in the entire heaven realm, including those given by Zi Sheqing, apart from those that couldn't be used in one go, there were only 20 or so super heavy pills. Other than the small portion that Zi Sheqing took away, the rest were used by Chu Yang during this period of time. Speaking of which, 20 or so super heavy pills seemed to be quite a lot, but those were the resources of the entire continent. Just as he swallowed it, Chu Yang felt a strong spiritual energy exploding in his body like a raging fire. For a moment, it even caused his heart to feel a little loose. Then he felt as if his limbs and bones were completely immersed in hot water. All the injured parts of his body slowly started to hurt, itch, and then an indescribable comfortable feeling. Chu Yang finally let go of his worries and relaxed his body. Lying on the bed, he only felt that his eyelids were getting heavier and heavier. In a trance, he actually fell asleep just like that. Just like a baby sleeping in its mother's arms, sleeping peacefully. Under the nourishment of the super heavy pill's warm medicinal effects, Chu Yang even completely forgot about the dangers that he might encounter. He forgot about everything around him and just fell asleep peacefully like that. In his body, it was as if an endless amount of gentle spiritual energy was constantly nourishing his damaged meridians and repairing his battered body. All the poor bodily functions were progressing towards a better direction. Time passed by quietly just like that. And while Mo Yuntian's army was still temporarily stationed outside Lone Bamboo City, they had already started to race against time to negotiate with the officials of Lone Bamboo City, fighting for all the conditions that would be beneficial to them. Previously, Heavenly Emperor Mo Yun Yuan Tianjie had already hinted that Demon Emperor Heaven would give them favorable conditions. There would definitely not be a situation where they were obstructed step by step like Eastern Royal Heaven. Mo Yuntian's people naturally had great confidence in this trip. As for the people from the three great sects, Yao Ningning had already ordered them all to be beheaded. Their deaths could be said to be extremely aggrieved. Those few elders were still filled with regret even before they died. If they had known that they would die in such an aggrieved manner, they might as well have directly fought it out with that mysterious enemy. However, in this world, any kind of medicine could be bought, found, and refined. Only the medicine of regret was an exception. Regarding this matter, Mo Yuntian's military expressed an indifferent attitude. Not only did they not ask, it was as if these people did not exist at all. If they died, then they died. Not only did you fail to capture Chu Yang, you even offended Mo Yuntian's Grand Elder. This is what is called, even death cannot wipe out your crimes. I was already planning to teach you a lesson, but it's better to just stand by and watch. Perhaps the three great sects never thought that their sect would be destroyed in such a way. Their Grand Master died in a daze and so they became scapegoats. Then, in order to avenge their Grand Master, they offended another Grand Master in a daze. In the end, he was beheaded in a daze. This kind of ending was something that no one could have imagined. Humans, even if they could deceive their own hearts, could they deceive the heavens? Who said that the heavens had no proof? It was just that the military's indifference still surprised and shocked the people of Demon Emperor Heaven. In the eyes of the officials of Demon Emperor Heaven, even if Mo Yuntian's people did not plead for mercy, they should at least show some sympathy since they were from the same hometown. Mo Yuntian's vice commander Yu Lai said indifferently, "These three great sects have not thought of improving themselves in recent years. Their strength has declined greatly, and they are unruly and undisciplined. This time they even lost too many lives in this trip to the Eastern Imperial Kingdom. Their crimes cannot be pardoned. Such a way of death is already too easy for them." This sentence made Uncle Hu and Uncle Ma, these two great experts, feel a bit of heartfelt fear in their hearts. Yu Lai's attitude towards the three great sects faintly revealed the extent of Mo Yuntian's anger. Actually, the moment the three great sects' journey to the Eastern Royal Heavens ended with Yuan Shu's death, they had already announced their downfall. No matter if they died here or in the ink cloud sky, the final outcome would probably be the same. And this result also showed how much Yuan Tianji doted on Yuan Shu Tuesday. From this, It could be imagined what kind of treatment Chu Yang, who directly killed Yuan Shedu, would receive from Yuan Tianji. The only use of the three great sects is to prove one thing. Yu Lai said indifferently, that is, Chu Yang and the others are now in Lone Bamboo City. Uncle Hu said, I'm afraid this part still needs to be verified. At least until now, there is no evidence to show that Chu Yang really showed up. Yu Lai's face revealed a smile that did not look like a smile. He said, Brother Hu, don't worry about anything. The purpose of our trip is to capture Chu Yang. We will not implicate anyone else. He paused for a moment and said, or something. Uncle Ma's long horse face could not help but twitch. He said, Vice Commander Yu is too polite. Yu Lai's face also twitched. What Uncle Ma hated the most was outsiders strutting around in Demon Emperor heaven. And Yu Lai's arrogant attitude right now was the kind that made him the most unpleasant. And Yu Lai, as the vice commander of Mo Yunqian's army, had a high position and power, but the word vice was his biggest sore point. Usually his subordinates could call him Commander or Commander Yu. But once he was called Vice Commander Yu, he would immediately fly into a rage. This was not a secret, and almost everyone in the older generation of the Heaven Imperial Court knew about it. And today, Uncle Ma had openly violated his taboo and exposed his scars. There was even a hint of provocation in it. How could Yu Lai not be angry? But right now he was still in Demon Emperor heaven. He really could not vent his anger. At least he could not vent it here and now. He could only shift his gaze and pretended to be dignified. He said, Where is Meng Wuya? Meng Wuya sighed. He knew that Yu Lai was probably going to vent this nameless anger on him. But the situation was stronger than the person. He had to respond. No matter how unwilling he was, he could only walk out. What orders does Commander have? Meng Wuya's injuries had already recovered by half in this period of time. It did not hinder his normal movements. Although he was still not strong enough to fight at full strength, but it was indeed not a big problem. Yu Lai's face was cold. Previously, you mobilized a lot of troops to go on an expedition. In the end, you lost soldiers and generals. It is rare that you can still be so unyielding at this moment. You are indeed the general of wind and thunder under Commander Mu. When I call you, do you think I don't have orders? Introduce Chu Yang to me. You are also old rivals with him. Even if you can't control him, you should have some understanding of him. I hope you don't tell me. Not only can I not do anything to him, I don't even know anything about him. The commander in charge of Mo Yunqian's army was the Commander Mu that Yu Lai mentioned just now. And Meng Wuya was the general under Commander Mu. Yu Lai's words clearly had the intention of using this as a pretext to make a fuss. Meng Wuya knew that Yu Lai was provoking him, but the situation was obvious at this moment. He could only swallow his anger and say, Chu Yang, this young man is really quite impressive. Yu Lai impatiently interrupted his reply. I didn't ask you whether he is impressive or not. I only asked you his habits, his temperament, his possible hiding place. You didn't even understand my question. Do you only know how to reply when I ask you one question at a time? Meng Wuya only felt that he was choking. After a long while, he replied with a red face, Chu Yang's personality is vengeful. His will is firm and unyielding. Currently, he may be hiding in Lone Bamboo City. This sentence was as good as not saying anything. However, the discord between the two factions in the military had been going on for a long time. Yu Hai wasn't someone who didn't know the importance of things, but as long as he faced the people of the Wood faction, he would pick on them. His bad habit didn't start today and everyone was already used to it. Meng Wuya could only use the simplest way to explain. Besides, he was really annoyed. What does the fight between your higher-ups have to do with me? If you have the ability, why don't you go to Commander Mu? Why do you have to be so unreasonable to me tens of thousands of miles away in someone else's territory? Are you trying to show off your authority as a commander? As expected, Yu Lai was furious. What nonsense are you talking about? Is this how you do things? Last time you lost so many soldiers and generals. You didn't even collect any useful information. You are really useless. Meng Wuya's face was cold as he said stiffly, I am really incompetent. Lord Sky Emperor has already been shocked and has given me punishment. Now I can only hope that Commander you can turn the tide. I am here to listen to your orders. The meaning was, you can arrange for me to work but don't ask me about other things. Asking is useless. Yu Lai was furious. Alright, you are incompetent. You can't do things well and you think you have done well? Come take him down. Give him 50 poison dragon whips to wake him up. The poison dragon whip was a kind of whip with barbs. When it was used, it had to seal the cultivation of the criminal. When it was used, it would hit the criminal hard. Each whip would take a piece of flesh. After such a whip, especially when Meng Wuya was still seriously injured, even if he did not die, he would have a hidden illness. Commander. The expressions of the surrounding people changed. If they really hit Meng Wuya like this, how would they explain it when they returned? Marshal Mu would never let this matter rest. Yu Lai waved his hand with a steely face. Execute. Seeing Meng Wuya being dragged out, Yu Lai said, "Everyone follow the previous arrangements. Split up and search for Chu Yang's whereabouts. If there are any suspicious people, capture them and interrogate them." Yes. The subordinates all accepted the order. Our city master's mansion of Lone Bamboo City is hosting a banquet tonight to welcome Commander Yu, Uncle Hu said with slight reluctance. Yu Lai gave a smile. Many thanks for noble heaven's hospitality. But this commander has orders and does not dare to delay. When this matter is over, this you will drink with all my brothers for 3 days. Farewell. He actually took his men and left just like that. Fuck. Uncle Ma's horse face was so long it almost reached his chest. What is this? What are you so proud of? The other people of Yao Emperor Heaven also had discontent expressions. I recommend an urban novel. The expert comes out of the mountain. The author is one of my brothers. Everyone go take a look. Chapter 21-26. We're giving face to Mo Yin Tian, but that doesn't mean that we're afraid of Mo Yin Tian. If it wasn't for the orders of the Demon Empress, who would care about you? Now you dare to put on airs in front of us. When Chu Yang woke up, he felt relaxed all over. All the injuries from before had disappeared without a trace. Moreover, his cultivation had increased again, and the extent of the increase was not small. The effects of the super heavy pill were indeed extraordinary. It seems that I'm about to reach the peak of the initial stage of heaven being. Chu Yang felt the surging power in his body and thought to himself. Just as he was feeling it, he suddenly heard the sound of the wind. Someone was coming towards him. Through the sensing of the aura, he could basically confirm that the person had no ill intentions. Chu Yang could still make this judgment. But even so, Chu Yang couldn't help but frown. It was one thing for the person to have no ill intentions, but his identity was another. It didn't mean that everything was fine just because he didn't have any ill intentions. At the moment, the battle was fierce and dangerous. Any careless accident could lead to terrible consequences. Chu Yang didn't dare to be negligent. He secretly released his divine sense to check. Only after confirming who the person was, could he plan his next step. He couldn't help but be startled. He saw that Bai Yu Chen and the others were walking towards him. Although this group of people had changed their appearances, Chu Yang could tell at a glance that it was Bai Yu Chen and the others who were walking towards him. Now Bai Yu Chen's broken arm had been regenerated. His 2 arms moved freely like a normal person. Around him, a dozen people who seemed to be unrelated were actually all coming towards him. Chu Yang sighed. They finally couldn't hold it in anymore. Fortunately, he had already wiped out most of the people from the 3 great sections. Otherwise, such a hot-blooded impulse would only be courting death. If it was just courting death, it would be fine. This hot-blooded impulse could lead to terrible consequences. It could easily lead to the annihilation of the whole army. What Chu Yang didn't know was that while he was in a deep sleep, a small number of people from the 3 sects had already been killed by Tan Tan. Right now, in Lone Bamboo City, there was no one alive who was familiar with Bai Yu Chen and the others. The wind howled as Bai Yu Chen and the others entered the small courtyard one after another in the most careful manner. After several twists and turns, they entered the small courtyard one after another. The people outside didn't notice this slight but unusual change. However, when they stood in front of Chu Yang, none of them spoke a word. I know why you came out. Chu Yang smiled and said, to be honest, I'm very gratified. But the truth is that you shouldn't have come out. Bai Yu Chen smiled warmly and said respectfully, Manor Lord, even if we have to face the worst situation, all of us are already mentally prepared. However, we've been holed up like a tortoise from the beginning to the end. Only the Manor Lord is out there fighting and protecting us. This kind of feeling is worse than death. Chu Yang sighed silently, all right. These people were all super elites of their respective sections. They were all proud and lofty people. They were naturally grateful to Chu Yang for protecting them. But the more grateful they were, the more they couldn't allow themselves to reap the fruits of others' labor and not do anything. I'd rather die standing than live kneeling. Che Shuchu's words were almost everyone's thoughts. Chu Yang was silent for a long time. Then he said, "Since that's the case, I'll grant you your wish. Let's go all out together." 30 people stood in front of Chu Yang with their heads held high and their chests puffed out. When they left Ink Cloud Sky and came to Eastern Royal Sky, there were more than 1,000 people. Now only these people were left. Great waves wash away the sand to reveal the gold. Chu Yang took a deep breath and said, "Everyone, after so many battles, all of you are still alive. This is enough to prove that each of you has a few tricks up your sleeves. My request isn't high. Just survive. As long as you can survive, you must do your best to survive. Don't give up easily. This is my only request." Everyone's faces were solemn. Ink Cloud Sky's army has already arrived at Lone Bamboo City. There are at least 30,000 people. If we divide them evenly, each of us will have to deal with at least 1,000 people or even more. Only then will we have a slight chance of winning. Chu Yang's face was solemn. The situation this time is still the same. But the severity of the situation is even more serious than the enemies we faced when we were escaping. So, I hope that everyone... Chu Yang's gaze slowly swept across everyone's faces. Don't give up easily. Take care of yourselves. Don't give up easily. Manor Lord, take care. 30 people bowed respectfully. If we're lucky enough to survive this time, I hope that we can accompany Manor Lord to roam the Heaven Imperial Court in the future. If we can't avoid death this time, to be able to follow Manor Lord for hundreds of thousands of miles is also a joyous matter with no regrets. 30 people walked out in a single file. Gathering together, they were undoubtedly too big of a target. They still followed the original plan. 3 in a group, each moving separately. Only at the moment when they left the door, everyone was a little reluctant to part. Once they left, it might be an eternal parting. They might never meet again. Going out this time, life and death might be unknown. Or they might be strangers. Perhaps this was already the last time in their lives that they gathered so neatly. But this feeling only flashed by. Then everyone walked out with their heads held high. To be able to fight against the army of one side with such a small force, we can be considered as unprecedented. To die without regrets, this life is enough. After a simple deployment and sending everyone off, Chu Yang once again fell into deep thought. Although everyone knew that the people of the 3 big sects were completely annihilated because they offended Demon Emperor Tian Tai, and the hidden danger of their disguises being seen through was eliminated from the root, the situation didn't turn around. In fact, the current situation was even worse than when they faced the 3 big sections. The real strength of Mo Yuntian's army was really too strong. With the manpower on Chu Yang's side, saying that it was a mantis trying to stop a chariot was already overestimating Chu Yang. The difference was really too great. The difference in strength between the two sides was even greater than when they faced Meng Wuya previously. Facing such a bad situation, how should they make use of the available manpower to achieve the greatest results with the lowest casualties? Chu Yang thought about this question for a long time, but he still didn't have any idea. The manpower available on his side was really too little. Although everyone's cultivation wasn't low, compared to the current situation, they were still too weak. When the strength of both sides was too great, absolute strength would override all strategies, calculations, wisdom, and so on. And the situation that Chu Yang was facing now was basically very close to this situation. If the tribulation space could be reactivated now, Chu Yang could take out a lot of incomplete heavy pills and give a few to each person. Come, eat it when you're seriously injured. Then recover immediately. Then you can go back to battle with your full strength. If it could be like that, even if it was just a matter of attrition, many more enemies could be exhausted to death. As long as there were enough medicines, it wasn't impossible to completely exhaust the enemy. But the problem was that his previous biggest super cheat couldn't be used at all. The tribulation space couldn't be opened. At such a crucial time, it dropped the chain. Chu Yang sighed deeply and prayed in his heart, "God, please don't play with me anymore. Please let the tribulation space open quickly. I really can't stand it anymore." Just as he was letting his imagination run wild, there was suddenly a movement outside. Looking at the movement, it was clearly coming towards his side. Chu Yang was really puzzled now. What's going on? They had originally chosen this place for the sake of concealment, but today there were so many people coming in one after another. It was simply as crowded as a marketplace. It seems that it's definitely not Bai Yu Chen's group this time. They wouldn't have come back in such a short time. So, who are the visitors this time? Mo Yunchen's military couldn't have come to the door so quickly. Well, it shouldn't be. The visitors this time also didn't have any murderous aura. They were very peaceful. But I don't seem to know anyone in this city. No, why don't I know anyone? Didn't I bump into someone today? Could it be that it's really? With two puffs, two people walked in openly from the main entrance. A man with a hoarse voice shouted, "Ichit, Ichit, I know you're here. Your handsome junior martial brother Tan Tan has come to visit you." Chuyang immediately flew into a rage. He leaped forward like a lightning bolt, and grabbed a handful of the opposite party's hair without saying anything. Then he started to rain punches and kicks on the opposite party's head. "I'll make you feel itchy, I'll make you itchy. You scoundrel. You damned bastard. Spare you? Dream on. Today I'll clean up the sect on behalf of my master. I'll beat you to death, you bastard." Chu Yang's fists were like heavy hammers and his feet were like meteors. He was merciless. The gale gradually turned into a storm and a hurricane. Motherfucker, from the heaven-level continent to the heaven-level imperial court, and across two worlds, this is the first brother I've met. How can I vent my excitement if I don't beat him up to my heart's content? Just now the battle wasn't the right place or the right time. I was still regretting it. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to me. How can I not take it? The heavens have mercy on you. Finally, I have a comfortable partner. After beating him up for a long time, Tan Tan seemed to have finally lost his patience. "You're still beating me? It's about time. You bastard, if you continue to beat me, I'll fight back. I'll really fight back. Motherfucker, you're still beating me? Watch my fist. Bang bang bang, puff puff puff." Chapter 21-27. The two of them exchanged punches and kicks without dodging at all. Punches to the face, kicks to the buttocks. In an instant, two freshly baked pig heads appeared in the world. Yao Ningning at the side was sweating profusely as he watched. His eyebrows were twitching wildly. The only thing he felt was that his eyeballs seemed to have popped out of their sockets. At this moment they had already fallen to the ground and broken into 8 pieces. What is this situation? Oh my mother. This is the legendary reunion of fellow disciples. This greeting gift is too explosive, too fucking shocking. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. After a long while, the two of them sat on the ground with bruised noses and swollen faces, gasping for breath. They looked at each other's brand new appearance and couldn't help but laugh. That kind of joy that almost exploded from the bottom of their hearts after the reunion still made the two of them have an impulse to grab each other and beat them up again. This kind of emotion was really like an old wine that had been settled for a long time but had already fermented. It was very heartwarming, but it also made their hearts explode with joy. They were so happy that they felt a little sad. I don't know if you have this kind of feeling when you suddenly reunite with a close classmate and comrade in arms who haven't seen each other for many years. Come here. Tan Tan waved his hand with a swollen face. Yao Ningning had a fawning smile on his face. He eagerly came over like a lackey. Tan Tan had a condescending look on his face as if he was educating a younger brother. This is my martial brother. My martial brother is the kind of truly amazing person. Whether it's killing, fighting, or dealing with people, he's the best of the best. My martial brother can devise strategies in a tent and decide victory from 1,000 miles away. My martial brother can prosper a country with a word. His words can destroy a country. My martial brother can establish a country in peace. His martial arts can pacify the world. My martial brother is Kai Feng Lu. His martial arts are excellent. My martial brother has the talent to conquer the world. He can support the power of the universe. As he spoke, Yao Ningning kept nodding with a face full of worship. Even someone as thick-skinned as Chu Yang felt a little embarrassed. Are you talking about me? It should be. Most of it was close to the truth. It was just a little exaggerated. She was intoxicated by it when she suddenly heard Tan Tan change the topic. He had a flaunting look on his face. It can be said that my senior brother is omnipotent. Whether it's picking up girls or other things like theft, robbery, ambushing, extortion, he's also a top-notch person. Just like gambling, he's also a top-notch person. Yao Ningning's eyes lit up, and her Adam's apple trembled in excitement. Idol. What an idol? Chu Yang's face darkened. Are you praising me? Tan Tan continued to talk non-stop. Didn't you say that you crazily chased after that girl, but you didn't manage to catch her? I'm not an expert in this field, but my senior brother is an expert in this field. Remember to sincerely ask my senior brother for guidance later. Let me tell you, the wives my senior brother has found are all outstanding beauties. They're devastatingly beautiful. They're all extremely intelligent. They're all of noble status and outstanding abilities. All of them? Yao Ningning looked even more worshipful. How many wives do you have? Tan Tan turned and asked Chu Yang, Senior brother, how many wives do you have now? Do you have any more? Chu Yang was speechless when he heard that. Get lost. You better get the fuck out of my sight as far as the horizon is. I get annoyed just looking at you. Tan Tan shrunk his neck and turned to Yao Ningning. Get lost. Why are you asking so many questions? Can't you see that you've annoyed my senior brother with your questions? Yes, 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 yes. Yao Ningning nodded repeatedly. She looked at Chu Yang with even more worship. From head to toe, it came from the bottom of her heart. He was indeed worthy of being her idol. His temper was too much of a character, too manly, too. I say, who is this? Chu Yang asked doubtfully. Chu Yang combined the previous information and vaguely guessed who the stranger in front of him might be. But this guess was too illogical. In the end, he still asked this question. Tan Tan kicked Yao Ningning's butt. Why aren't you replying? My senior brother is asking you a question. Idol. Boss. I. Yao Ningning's words were incoherent. Oh. My name is Yao Ningning. Oh. I really admire you, Yao Ningning? You said you're called Yao Ningning? You're really Yao Ningning? Chu Yang was really shocked when he heard that. Although he had vaguely guessed it before, it still gave Chu Yang a big shock when it was confirmed in front of him. Demons were a race. In the land of the demon race, the word demon was undoubtedly extremely noble. Only the royal family of the demon race had the right to use the surname demon in front of their names. Chu Yang's expression remained unchanged, but his heart skipped a beat. This guy with a face full of idiocy, clothes out of place, and a lackey who was nodding his head and bowing his head desperately to curry favor, was actually a member of the royal family of the demon race? There were indeed all kinds of strange things in the world. Tan Tan said with an indifferent face, Yao Ningning, I heard that he was the only son of the demon emperor Heaven's demon empress. Chu Yang made a sound of surprise. His face was still as calm as an ancient well. But in his heart, he felt as if the whole universe had exploded in front of his eyes. This wasn't a joke, right? The demon emperor. He was actually taken in as a follower by Tan Tan? Oh my god. Yao Ningning said with a shy face, actually, I'm still not very sensible. I've been taught by big brother Tan Tan. Chu Yang could no longer maintain his composure. The corner of his mouth finally couldn't help but twitch. He suddenly realized that after he rushed to the Heaven Palace, all his grievances were actually with the emperors? There were too many people he had befriended, too many people he had killed, too many people he knew now, and there was even this Tai Yuntian who had ulterior motives. He had to admit that his luck seemed to be pretty good. Even though it wasn't luck. Tan Tan said bluntly, what's wrong with that? We brothers relied on our own abilities to make a living in the martial world. We didn't count on his motherfucking power. It doesn't matter if he's a demon emperor or a demon commoner. Even if he's trash, as long as we acknowledge him, isn't it all the same? Nothing more than that. The demon emperor is also nothing more than that. Chu Yang's heart suddenly became clear. He couldn't help but laugh. He had been enlightened by Tan Tan today. His words went straight to the core of the problem. Yes, he wasn't as open-minded as Tan Tan. In fact, Yao Ningning's identity might be really shocking and explosive, but so what? As long as he didn't intend to borrow power from the other party, it really didn't matter what the other party's identity was. Friendship was valued in understanding. Did it have to be based on family background first? Ever since Chu Yang was born, he had been a very free and easy person. He had never cared too much about the identity of those around him. For example, when he had just made his debut, he hadn't been famous, but he still commanded the wind and the clouds. When facing the generals of Iron Cloud, the princes and the monarchs, he spoke without restraint. He always did things according to his heart. Today's performance was mainly because Chu Yang had been living too bitterly during this period of time. On the surface, it looked like he was killing here and there with his sword and no one could stop him. But almost all of his achievements were based on surprise attacks. And it was a special tactic where he would retreat unscathed if he failed to hit. If it was a real head-on confrontation, even if he had 10 lives now, he would have been finished long ago. There was no need for a head-on confrontation. If the other party had another person like the great elder of Iron Sword Sect, and fought with all his strength, a certain king of hell would probably have gone to meet the real king of hell. Now, it was a delicate juncture where Mo Yuntian's army was pressing on the border. Chu Yang was even more pressured. When he suddenly heard Yao Ningning's identity, the first thing he thought of was that. But at this moment he was reminded by Tan Tan's words. He couldn't help but be enlightened. Once the knot in his heart was untied, the three of them chatted and talked. Instantly they were boundlessly happy. Chu Yang's profound knowledge, the experience of 2 lifetimes, the many sceneries he had experienced along the way, and his understanding of the dangers of Jianghu. Every time he talked about it, Yao Ningning's eyes lit up. His level of worship increased by another level. Slowly he actually had a kind of, if I could roam Jianghu like this and experience such a colorful life, how good would that be? This feeling rose up. Let me tell you another big secret. My senior martial brother is the person who killed Mo Yintian. Tan Tan sat cross-legged and said slowly, "Really?" Yao Ningning wasn't surprised. Instead he was full of excitement. "Wow. Too awesome. Big brother, you're really too fierce. Mo Yintian, your status seems to be about the same as mine. Doesn't that mean that even if it's me, as long as big brother doesn't like me, you can kill me whenever you want?" At this point he suddenly worshipped even more. It was as if he wanted to worship Chu Yang. Chu Yang coughed twice. He was speechless in his heart. "Kill as I wish? You think too highly of me? Do you really think that I'm retarded? That I would kill you grand cliques for fun? Motherfucker, if it wasn't for that fucking Yuan Shed of forcing me into a corner, would I have killed him? That day my initial plan wasn't to kill him. I wanted to perish together with him. Did you really think that it was that fun? Besides, that was the grand clique of a world. Was it really that easy to kill him? I didn't even see the grand clique, but I killed a grand clique who was chased like a stray dog. There were actually people who worshipped this matter so much. It was really the biggest joke in the world. This demon emperor heaven seemed to be a little too weird, right? I've decided. I must follow Big Brother and Big Brother to roam Jianghu together." Yao Ningning made a solemn vow. He beamed with joy. "It's really too fun. Even Mo Yunchen's grand clique was killed. It's really too exciting. Just thinking about it makes me excited." Chu Yang was speechless. It seemed that even Tan Tan was a little shocked at this time. As they talked, they became even more familiar with each other. Yao Ningning's face was full of enthusiasm as he took out food and drinks from the space ring. Wine, meat, vegetables, everything that one could think of was there. Moreover, they were all the best delicacies in Demon Emperor Heaven. Tan Tan was extremely envious when he saw this. His heart was extremely unbalanced. Suddenly, he knocked on Yao Ningning's head. "Fuck. You actually collected so many delicious things when you were young? Why didn't you take them out when you were with me? Now that you see my senior brother, it's like you see your own father. Now that you have Big Brother, you don't remember me, your big brother, do you?" Yesterday, the second update. Chapter 21-28. Yao Ningning rubbed his head and looked wronged. "Big brother, listen to me. I just remembered. There are too many things in my ring. How can I remember so many? You don't know. The last time I was looking for something, it took me 3 days to find it. It was really too big and too messy." Chu Yang and Tan Tan fainted at the same time. Could this be a reason? There were too many things in it. Fortunately, we weren't robbers. If we were robbers, we would have really met a super cooperative robber this time. Wouldn't that be too much? As for now, no, I've never heard of a big brother robbing a little brother's things, especially such a lackey little brother's things. Although Chu Yang and Tan Tan were famous for being thick-skinned, they really couldn't do such a despicable thing. The three drank, ate, and chatted. They were really happy without limits. Yao Ningning obviously had the intention to use the wine to get some words out of him. "Big brother, since you are flirting with girls, you must teach little brother a few high-level moves of Sans Ho." Chu Yang laughed and patted his chest. "You can rest assured about this. Isn't it just chasing a girl? I'll give you an idea later. I believe it can be easily done. However, this kind of thing between a man and a woman, the most important thing is that both parties are willing. If the girl isn't willing no matter what, then it's meaningless, isn't it?" Yao Ningning slapped her thigh and said, "Big brother, what you said is so right. It makes so much sense. Although the girl I like is not bad, if I use force she won't be able to resist. The problem is that if I use force it will be really boring. Forcefully wrung melons won't be sweet." "That's right." Chu Yang agreed and said, "That's the reason. Before, I always felt that you were unreliable. Now you're more and more pleasing to the eye." Yao Ningning got praised and became more and more exultant. He only felt that he had met a bosom friend and was happy for life. Tan Tan said disdainfully from the side, "Little Yao, do you know what the highest level of picking up girls is?" Yao Ningning asked modestly, "What is it? Big brother, please enlighten me." "The highest level of courting a girl is very simple and clear. And that is to be courted by a girl." Tan Tan raised his nose to the sky. my senior brother's many wives are courted by him. Do you understand? In other words, my senior martial brother is just waiting. Look, you're only chasing one person and you're actually in such a terrible fix, so miserable. I truly feel sorry for you. Yao Ningning looked at Chu Yang with even more reverence in his eyes. Big brother you. Chu Yang crossed his legs. Huh? I'm not as exaggerated as little Tan said. I was ignorant at first and didn't think about the feelings between men and women. Humph. Therefore one blew, one helped, and one listened attentively with shining eyes. Not a single strand of hair was out of place. They are completely unaware that they are now in the midst of an unprecedented crisis. A long while passed. Then Tan Tan finally asked, Senior brother, where is that happy little girl, Xia Dan Feng? He had definitely been holding this question in his heart for a long time. When he saw Chu Yang here but didn't see Xia Dan Feng, Tai Bu Tian, and the others, Tan Tan had a bad feeling. He also knew that Chu Yang was in a bad situation and was being hunted down. So Tan Tan didn't dare to ask. Until now he couldn't help but ask. Chu Yang smiled faintly. You think I lost your wife? Tan Tan saw Chu Yang's expression and immediately felt relieved. He said happily, where is that little girl? Damn, she found such a handsome man as her husband. Is she so happy that she's embarrassed to come out? Ugh. Yao Ningning retched. Under Tan Tan's murderous gaze he explained dryly, no, it's not your words, it's because I drank a little too much. Chu Yang laughed. They are practicing in a safe place. You will see her soon. Chu Yang said, she's absolutely unharmed. Then he suddenly became angry, you bastards, you just left your wife here with me. Do you know what kind of life I've been living? Eastern royal sky, dreamlike veranda. When Emo Qingwu woke up, she felt that her cultivation had increased a little. She couldn't help but feel gratified. She thought to herself, the elixirs in our sex collection are really amazing. I didn't expect that after the pain yesterday, I would advance 2 levels after completely digesting them today. It's really amazing. Only by eating bitterly can one rise above others. This is really a famous saying. She felt a little happy and instinctively touched her pocket. But when she touched it she felt empty. She couldn't help but be shocked. Where's the wind fox? The wind fox had been obediently staying at his place for a long time. Why did it disappear today? She felt that the wind fox in her pocket was gone, and there was only a note left. She took it out and saw that there was a young and crooked handwriting on it. It seemed to have been scratched out with a claw. Master, I want to go to the demon race to take a look. I've improved too quickly during this period. The follow-up technique is gone in the inheritance. I'll go back and look for it. Don't worry, once I find it, I'll come back immediately. Emo Qingwu felt lost. Did the wind fox go to the demon race? She's alone. How can she find it? How can she be so impulsive? On the main road, a young girl in white was moving. Her figure was like a willow branch swaying in the wind. She floated forward. Her face was full of longing. Actually, I really can't bear to leave. Master is like an elder sister to me. When I find the inheritance, I'll quickly go back. I've only left for a short while and I can't bear to leave. I really want to go back immediately. I'm really useless. Her expression was particularly conflicted, but her speed didn't slow down. The Heaven Imperial Court is not like other places. With my current cultivation, I can't be of much help. It's more important to hurry up and find the inheritance. When the time comes, I'll come back and help Master. In another world far away. Tribulation's brain, Emo Tianji, sat on the throne. He looked down at the 10 leaders, 5 hall masters and 70 branch leaders. They were all thinking about something. Behind him, 2 other people stood quietly. These were Emo Tianji's 2 personal bodyguards. Ever since Emo Tianji had rushed to the Heavenly Imperial Court, he didn't have any spare time to indulge in the luxury of sleeping. He had to survive, develop, escape, practice martial arts, enrich his manpower and plan. All of these required a lot of time to carry out. Eating and sleeping were normal human behaviors. However, it seemed that he really couldn't take care of them. Fortunately, these efforts still paid off. Now, in Emo Tianji's opinion, his power in the Heaven Imperial Court was finally beginning to take shape. Now, Emo Tianji's Heavenly Armament Pavilion had grown to the scale of tens of thousands of people. Moreover, they were all martial artists. Although there weren't any particularly high-level experts, there weren't any mediocre people. If all of them gathered together, they could already be considered a powerful force. Especially when Emo Tianji used his master of calculation and manipulation to guide many experts. Because of this, he recruited many experts who were sincerely convinced by Mo Tianji and sincerely attached themselves to him. This force was now growing stronger and stronger. It didn't need much time. The current Heavenly Armament Pavilion had already become a force that couldn't be ignored. Even if it wasn't enough to challenge the super sects of the various heavens, it might still have the power to fight against ordinary sections. In view of this, Mo Tianji considered whether to change the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. Although from the beginning, Mo Tianji established the Heavenly Armament Pavilion by robbing and relying on robbing, Mo Tianji had always consciously cultivated something. Now, it was finally close to the time of maturity. From now on, we will enter other industries. Mo Tianji said lightly, except for a few secret people who need to continue robbing for the daily needs of the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, the others will start to collect relevant information according to the arrangements I made before. In the heavens and the earth, in the three sects, any information must be collected. Everyone looked at Mo Tianji with some surprise. They didn't understand why he suddenly changed the direction of development. The current development situation was clearly very ideal. There were no obstacles. Was there a need to suddenly change the direction of development? Especially in a direction that they had never dabbled in before. The gains didn't make up for the losses. However, ever since Mo Tianji had founded the Heavenly Armament Pavilion, he had been able to predict things like a god. He had never made any mistakes. In everyone's eyes, he was an omniscient and wise prophet. Was this the first time he had met with an accident? In the current situation, we use robbing to develop further. Perhaps the efficiency will be higher, but the danger will also increase. Previously, our strength was still shallow. Most of the targets of robbing were third-rate and last-rate forces. At most, we would only target second-rate forces. Now that our strength has increased greatly, if we still target second-rate forces, the gains will not make up for the losses. The benefits will be limited. But if we rashly target first-rate forces or even super first-rate forces, not only will we not have enough strength, but we may also attract a strong backlash. If we are not careful, we may be wiped out by a super force. Mo Tianji said, on the other hand, if we give up most of our robbing operations and concentrate on building our own information network, as long as we have enough and accurate information, our development will undoubtedly be faster. After all, information is what the people of Jianghu need the most. The big forces and even the government need it the most. We won't have to worry about a lack of buyers. Once our Heavenly Armament Pavilion's name is recognized by the whole Jianghu, the authenticity, reliability, and speed of our information will be confirmed. Then our grandchildren will not be able to eat and drink. Today I sent a screenshot of Prestige to the game company. They were immediately stunned. They were all against Jun Mo's image. So, I said very confidently, this is not good. We will do it again. Chapter 21-29. Mo Tianji could only use this method to mobilize the enthusiasm of the people. An intelligence empire was not something that could be established in a short period of time. Under normal circumstances, a qualified intelligence organization would require the efforts of several generations, countless years of tempering, and the support of a huge amount of resources and manpower. It was simply an armchair strategist. It was impractical. However, Mo Tianji wanted to work hard in this direction. He wanted to do all of this in the shortest time possible. As long as he had the most accurate and timely information, it would be equivalent to controlling the world to a large extent. Mo Tianji had always had a vision. The strength of the brothers would be unrivaled in the world. They would be able to conquer the world. They would be in charge of the intelligence network throughout Jianghu. With the cooperation of both sides, they would be able to bring out the best in each other. They would be successful in every endeavor. Everyone became excited when they heard Mo Tianji's words. Most of the people who could become leaders, hall leaders, and branch leaders were not stupid. Whether Mo Tianji's words were reasonable or not, they were naturally able to distinguish clearly. Mo Tianji's words were undoubtedly very reasonable. Robbery was a business without any capital. It was easy to make money. However, the danger behind it was also relatively high, especially when facing those powerful forces. Now that the leader had a new way of development, why not try it out? Moreover, during this period of time, everyone was really impressed by Boss Mo's intelligence. As long as Boss Missouri decided on something, they would definitely not go wrong by following it. There was also another layer. If they could really wash away their previous background and use legal means to make money, it would definitely be better than everyone bearing the name of a bandit. Robbery was not a career that could last a lifetime. Boss, we all understand what you're thinking. That's a good idea, but Qianji Pavilion can be said to be the best in the field of intelligence. Their intelligence network is spread all over the world. The various rankings they compile are extremely authoritative. They have a list of all the people in Jianghu as well as all the new information. They have been recognized by everyone for tens of thousands of years, and their prestige is unparalleled. If everyone really wants to buy information, they will definitely go there, but why would they buy from us? Someone raised an objection. This objection was very sharp. However, it was indeed a problem that needed to be considered and solved. Mo Tianji faintly smiled. The Thousand Secrets Pavilion has enjoyed a great reputation for many years. Naturally, it is very powerful. However, their operating model may not be without loopholes. As long as we have the heart to do it, we will have to snatch food from their mouths first. Our foundation is shallow, so we will not be able to compete with them in the beginning. Thus, we still need some people to rob to maintain our normal livelihood. However, Qianji Pavilion is not invincible. The most important point is that we have a unique advantage. Qianji Pavilion has always sold information, but they have never done a further analysis of the information they have collected. In this point, they are far inferior to us. This is a fundamental difference, and it is enough to reverse the outcome of the battle between us and Qianji Pavilion. Mo Tianji's eyes flashed with absolute confidence. In this field, there might not be anyone in this world who could compare to Mo Tianji. Everyone knew that Mo Tianji was capable of this. So, their confidence was greatly boosted. So, they agreed and split up to do their work. Perhaps at this moment, no one would have thought that in such a short period of time in the future, a colossus would suddenly rise up in this heaven imperial court. It came quietly, but in a short period of time, it rose up with great momentum. The information of Heavenly Armament Pavilion had truly swept the world. It was unique. It had truly become a legend of the Heaven Imperial Court. On the other side, the vast sword energy in the sky soared into the sky. Gu Duxing had already sheathed his sword. Without Chu Yang to lead him, Gu Duxing could only grope his way forward. However, it was this groping alone that allowed his sword of selflessness to transform into a true form. Time and time again, Gu Duxing grew up very quickly. The aura on his body became more and more cold, and he gave people the feeling that he was more and more like a sword. A divine sword. It was as if even a single strand of hair was mixed with an unstoppable and unrivaled sword aura. I have finally reached the peak of saint level. Gu Duxing muttered. Even I did not think that I would improve to this extent. I believe that there is a high chance that boss has already been left behind by me. However, I still cannot be careless. Anything can happen to boss. I need to continue to rush up. If I am too complacent and lose my energy when we meet again in the future, I will find out that I am actually at the bottom. That would be really embarrassing. However, this heavenly sword god fruit is truly miraculous. It actually allowed my cultivation and sword chi to advance by leaps and bounds. Even my sword intent has been tempered. However, I still need to familiarize myself with it. After all, it was something that was forcefully raised by external forces. Only by repeatedly tempering it can it be completely used by me, allowing me to do as I please and be successful in every endeavor. Right now, I am afraid that I will not be able to improve my cultivation in a short period of time. From now on, I will not be able to just build a cart behind closed doors. Looks like I need to go out and explore. Temper my state of mind and stabilize my foundation. Gu Duxing muttered. It is just that it is a pity to let go of this foundation just like that. After a long time, he finally made a decision. All of you stay here and cultivate well. Continue to develop and grow. My cultivation is not stable now. I need to go out and experience the martial world for a while. I believe that I will return soon. Gu Duxing instructed. No one objected. Gu Duxing's clothes were as white as snow. Standing there, it was as if he had brought along an isolated snow mountain. It made people feel a bone-chilling coldness. No one dared to question the words of this boss. In this place, Gu Duxing's words were the heavens. His words were law and his orders were strictly enforced. After giving his instructions, Gu Duxing, dressed in white, set off on his journey without looking back. The moment he went out, his sword energy rose with the wind and shot straight up into the sky. Perhaps no one knew about it yet, nor did they feel anything. However, a peerless swordsman had already started on a journey that shook the world from here. The moment he went out, he still did not know what he would encounter. But after he went out, he saw something that was absolutely unbearable. Just when Gu Duxing was less than 500 miles away from his heavenly armament pavilion, he suddenly saw thick smoke billowing in front of him. In a moment of curiosity he sped up to check it out. He saw a group of people massacring a small sect. Gu Duxing looked on coldly. Before he figured out the cause and effect of the matter, he did not want to act rashly. He even wanted to leave. But a sentence from the thick smoke made Gu Duxing change his mind. He stopped his footsteps that were already prepared to leave. Thick smoke billowed and someone cried out in grief and indignation, "If you steal the treasure, then you steal it. If you kill the people, then you kill them. But these women, I beg you, please give them a quick death. I beg you. Kill them. Kill them. Kill them. Kill them. Kill them. Don't humiliate them anymore. I beg you." This voice was heart-wrenching. One could imagine that the person who said this was already in extreme grief and despair. He actually knelt down and begged the enemy who destroyed his sect. Gu Duxing stopped in his tracks. One hand involuntarily grasped the hilt of his sword. A young voice laughed wildly, "You old bastard. You refused a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Now do you know how powerful I am? Young master took a fancy to your things. That is your fortune. You actually dared to not hand them over. Now you know to beg me? Unfortunately, it's too late. Damn old thing. Young master will let you watch your family and your granddaughter be played by me. Played to death. Played to death. What can you do? Ah. What can you do? Ah. Gu Duxing's pair of sword-like eyebrows suddenly rose. There is actually such a bastard. Almost without any further thought, a brazen sword light suddenly swept across the sky like a shocking rainbow, and directly entered the billowing thick smoke. Within the thick smoke, corpses were strewn all over the place. An old man was kneeling on the ground, constantly kowtowing and begging. His forehead was dripping with blood. Let them go. Kill them. I beg you. I beg you. In front of him there were 7 or 8 young women. Other than them, a group of strong men had long been lying on the ground. And those young women were all disheveled. Their faces were filled with grief, indignation, and despair. In front, there were dozens of black-clothed men holding swords and sabers. A young man stood at the front. His face was strange and evil. He was slowly tearing open a woman's lapel, revealing her delicate skin. He laughed and said, "Old bastard, do you see it? Do you see it clearly? This is your most beloved granddaughter, right? Ah. Watch carefully. How do I play with her? Look carefully. Look carefully. She won't die. She will be very happy." That old man's whole body trembled. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He struggled as if he wanted to fight with his life. But his injuries were too serious. He couldn't stand up. That young man saw the situation and laughed even more happily. He became more and more complacent. Right at this moment, a sword light shot over like a bolt of lightning. Bastard. Other than these 2 words, Gu Duxing didn't want to say anything else. No matter who was right or wrong, this young man's actions had already touched Gu Duxing's bottom line. He must be killed. He must die. The magnificent sword light was like the Milky Way pouring down, mighty and mighty. That young man who was laughing wildly was almost defenseless. He suddenly felt a chill on his neck. Then he felt as if he was flying. Then he was horrified to find that there was a very familiar body below. But it just happened that there was no head. Blood was rushing out from the neck. That's me? But His thoughts stopped here, and his life returned to the netherworld. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.